All right. There will be bourbon this time with another former Marine and former Army guy, a la Clay Martin. Familiar with that guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, this is Trav. He's from the wonderful world of X. His account on there is it's underscore at Trav underscore A if you can find it. But funny guy, a lot to say, good opinions. I think he's going to fit in really well on this bourbon fueled episode. And obviously, before I bring to him, what always fuels tonight's discussion is America's native spirit. And this one is something I recently picked up on a little college trip, not for me, but for my daughter. She's going to start that whole higher education process. Smoke Wagon, a private barrel. Smoke Wagon is out of Las Vegas. Still sourcing, I believe, mostly from good old MGP out of Indiana. But this stuff is incredible. 7 years. It's from a place called the Primo Liquors as a private store pick for them. And it comes in at just over 122 proof. Trav, do you drink? Are you
Yeah.
okay? You enjoying anything tonight, or you gonna?
Uh Liberty Creek Cabernet Sauvignon.
All right, go with a little wine. I like it. There will be wine as well.
Yeah.
All
I had to
right.
get up on beer because I was drinking a Dirty Bastard. It's from a brewery in Michigan.
Yeah, I know that
Eight
one.
and a half percent.
Yeah.
It's a bourbon barrel aged beer. And I realized when I drank a 6 pack of that, I realized I was consuming like a little over 1,300 calories in a night.
It's best
And
to not count it.
I was like, I got to stop eating like 3 loaves of bread a night. So I switched to wine for higher alcohol content, lower calorie content.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I drink honestly, and most people don't realize this, but I probably do drink way more red wine than I actually do drink bourbon. Because I'll drink a bottle of wine on a weeknight like it's nothing, over the course
Yeah.
of, 5 till the time I go to bed. 4 glasses of wine isn't anything. But yeah, I usually do the whole bottle, and I'm a big Cabernet Sauvignon guy like you, so I like that. It's good stuff. What do you like to get? Do you care? Are you a French guy, a Napa? Are you a
I
States,
mean,
overseas?
obviously,
Like,
if you're gonna drink a cab, it's got to be a Napa because everywhere else is a you know the cross of the Sangiovese and the other grapes. I mean, they perfected it in Napa. Napa was born to be no wine country, so it's the king of grapes for a reason. I mean,
okay,
it's
do you have a favorite?
well, like this is just like my everyday drinking wine. If I was like gonna go with something special, it'd be like like a Cadmus or a Silver Oak or something something great. I mean, like I like Decoy a lot. Basically you have to have a killer bottle label will sell me every time.
Is that gets you? Have you had so my all-time personal favorite is it's Dominus. Have you ever had that one from Napa?
Maybe,
2008
but
specifically.
I can't. I mean, I'm brain damaged, so it's hard for me to remember anything.
Well, let's get into that. All right. So let's go back May of '01 because I think that's really what I found was very I think it's a little more interesting based on the timing and what followed shortly thereafter. So was something you were always going to do was to join the military out of high school, or was this just like you had no option? Like what made you do it? Because you went
Um,
first. So
I told my mom when I was in 5th grade that I was going
okay.
to join the Marines.
Why?
Uh, I don't know.
Did you have like Marines in your family, or is it just
No, no. Actually, uh, my dad didn't go to Nam, but I had a granddad that was Navy in World War II, and my other granddad was Army Air Corps
Oh,
in World War
cool.
II. So I had no connection to the Marine Corps, but um, like I sincerely don't know. I like what why Marines popped into my head. I can't remember back that far anyway. But all I can remember is like I grew up like I live out in the country, I live in the woods. I spent my entire childhood playing with GI Joes, and then like I would go out in the I would go out in the swamp by my house, and I would pretend I was in Vietnam. With toy guns until I was like probably like 12 or 13, and then I switched over to like shooting real guns out in the woods. And yeah, I don't know. Like it was just weird. I was just a weird kid.
Nah, you weren't weird. I don't think you're weird at all. I think you're pretty fucking American. All right. So now high school's over. Were you talking to Marine recruiters in school, or were you just
Yeah,
graduate? Okay.
I joined the delayed entry program when I was
Okay.
17.
Little pulley action.
Yeah, I joined that at 17 because I was sold on it. And I was like, uh, I was sold on it, and I mean, I was fighting. I had to fight to get infantry because it's
Yeah.
amazingly enough, and especially in the Marine Corps, infantry is probably like one of the highest demand jobs. Um, but I had to fight for that, and because I was like, I read a lot of history books too when I was a kid, and uh, the Pacific always appealed to me more than the European theater.
Really?
Maybe that's why I like the Marines more. But you know, I would read just consume history books about the Pacific theater when I was a kid, and that's like I was just like that's what I want to be a part of. Is like I want to be a Marine.
I'm glad you brought that up because I still contend that most people in America largely consider World War II strictly the European theater. Like there
Yeah,
was no, they don't really recognize or even really know much about the Marines and what they did in the Pacific. And I'll be honest, I don't remember learning much about the Pacific in school. I went to public school. Everybody learned about, D-Day and all those things, and everybody knew about Hitler and all, but very little was known of the Pacific outside of Pearl Harbor. So
yeah. I mean, like I said, I wish I could tell. I mean, other than the fact that I grew up hearing stories of the Pacific from my granddad, who was there,
yeah, that makes sense.
Navy. Um, but I just knew I didn't want to be in the Navy because I was like the Navy, like I didn't know anything about the Navy, but I was like, uh, the Navy doesn't have the arrogance of every Marine a rifleman, which that bubble got bursted. Not every Marine can shoot. I promise you that. There's a bunch of them that can't shoot for shit. But
Which we'll get into later because I thought that was one of your funnier things last week.
yeah, I mean, I was like, I don't know. I was like, it just you're right because everything, like all the movies, all the TV shows
Yeah.
you see, everything saturates the European theater, and by and large, the European theater was less. I mean, it wasn't the same, not less, but it wasn't the same animal. Like
Oh, for sure.
as you can say what you want about the Germans as far as like what they were, uh, they still followed code and rules
Yeah.
of warfare when it came to enemy combatants. Yeah, they got put in camps, but they still got fed. They were mandated to have medical treatment and all that other stuff. The Japanese didn't give a shit. I mean, they did some horrible crap and they just didn't care. And not only did they get away with it, but today, they're considered some of our best friends while everybody secretly kind of like looks out the corner of their eye at the Germans. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. And the big, everyone invokes Hitler or Nazis or
Yeah.
fascists or all this stuff when it, to use as pejoratives and insults. And yeah, that's so okay. Now, have you watched The Pacific, like that show from HBO?
Obviously, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I figured you would. But so which one did you like more? Because this is another thing that's kind of it's very splintering within our community. Like some people are
um,
adamant the Pacific viewers, and the others are just like everyone loves Band of Brothers.
uh, I will agree with, uh, I think it was, I think it was Voodoo that posted it, but,
Yeah, yeah, he
uh,
did it.
Band of Brothers was a great show showing the cohesiveness of small unit leadership uh from like the platoon level down, and the Pacific was a better representation of large unit command and the effects of combat on the individual service member versus this. I mean, Band of Brothers is a little bit romantic, right?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, it's awful. I mean, yeah, the combat's bad and all that stuff, but you get swept up in the story of Dick Winters, Echo
yeah,
Company, all that stuff. You're just like, man, these guys were just these guys were just there, you know,
Larger than life.
they did the job and they were
Yep.
awesome. And you get over to the Pacific and you're like, these dudes walked through hell and it changed them forever. It broke most of the guys that served there. And it's not very pretty and it's not very romantic, but it's more realistic from a guy on the ground standpoint. So, I mean, whichever way you want to look at it, whichever tickles your pickle, I guess, you know, whatever.
Excuse me. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's definitely it's one of the ones I've been going back to. I think I got 2 more episodes of Band of Brothers. I started rewatching that, and then I was gonna go to the Pacific afterwards and rewatch that because I haven't seen them both in 10, 15 years. It's been forever. But I do like that they're keeping that story kind of in the forefront because again, I go back to history and I don't know what the fuck kids learn today, but I mean, my daughter brought up, you know, she's obviously graduated high school now. She knows about the World War II and the European theater, but I don't remember her saying much about what they learned about the Pacific. I didn't really ask her. It's probably something I should follow up with her on. But yeah, I feel like that's a lot of that stuff is getting lost. Um, and the meaning behind those words, like I said, we throw out words like Nazi and fascist, and they don't have any meaning anymore. And like those were,
No.
you know, like literally millions of people died for a reason trying to combat that whole thing. And now so we've reduced it to just some meaningless jab that you throw at someone who doesn't think like you.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So, all right. So you joined May of 01. Where were you on 9/11?
Camp Pendleton.
Damn, how was that?
uh I was doing guard and it was my sleep shift while I was in the guard rotation. And they woke us all up and they said, "Hey, a plane hit the Pentagon." And we're like, that sucks. And
Yeah,
then
sucks.
like right after they told us the second plane hit, and they're like, "This isn't an accident." And I mean, I was a PFC at the time, and I'm like, you know, all of us are looking at the corporal, the E4,
Yeah.
and we're like, what's gonna happen? And he just is like, I don't know. I mean, you got to remember the number of dudes that had been in the first, you know, in the first Gulf Storm, you know,
Oh
the
yeah.
first Gulf War skirmish that lasted 100 hours. The number of dudes that were in that were still active duty were so small.
Yeah.
Like
Same with-
nobody had a combat action ribbon in the
Yeah.
Marine. Nobody did. Like if you saw one, that dude was a living legend
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, they're coming in the barracks. They're like, we may go. I mean, we may go tomorrow. We may go next week. We don't know. You guys just get ready to do something. I mean, they locked the base down. When I say lock the base down, I mean they shut the front gates. Locked. If you were a spouse off post, you were locked off post. If you were a service member off post, you were locked off post. They issued all of us on guard. We went from condition 3, which was a magazine inserted no round in the chamber, to condition 1. We were allowed to chamber ammo.
Oh shit. On Camp Pendleton.
On Pendleton.
Wow.
And we had to stop every person we saw walking and ask for their ID as SOP. So if you saw a full bird, you walked up, we need to check your ID. We got to check your ID. I mean, we were checking everybody's ID. And it was like, it went like that for like, I don't know, probably a good 4 or 5 days where it was just locked down and nobody knew what was going on.
And you guys were also kind of far. I mean, because you were in Pendleton, so you were on the West Coast, so your time zone was all completely fucked up. So that was what 6:30 in the morning for you, yeah, give or take. Yeah, no, I think you may be the first person I've ever actually talked to who was in Marine Corps training or in the Marines during this time. Plenty of Army guys, so everyone had a different story and was in different levels, but never heard someone that having to do that. So for 4 or 5 days, then you know, as the picture kind of became a little bit more clear, what was that? Because were you still in some sort of
I was in infantry training. So
okay, so you were still in your initial entry training type of thing.
I was just graduated basic. I was in SOI, School of Infantry.
Okay.
And then no, like
Did you guys stop training? Or was
no,
it no?
we I mean, like they slowed down rotations for a little bit, but then we hopped back into it and we did our base, you know, we did our infantry training and all that crap. I mean, it was it was insane because like I went to when I finally got to my fleet unit, which was on the East Coast,
Yeah.
like still nobody had any idea what we were doing. Like I don't even know if I would have to check whenever the initial push into Afghanistan happened because I don't remember the dates on that off the top of my head. But like I can tell you from a infantry company in a infantry battalion in the Fleet Marine Corps in Camp Lejeune, we were still training trench warfare to fight the Russians.
Oh,
We were,
well, I told you, like in the Army, when I went through in '02, we were still doing squad tactics from Vietnam.
yeah, we were literally doing armor ID. Like we would sit down and you had to be able to do Soviet armor ID. Uh, we did armor ID all the time. We literally cleared trenches in Lejeune. I mean, I'm not kidding you. We cleared trenches, trench systems they had on Lejeune that they had been using since the Cold War. Like we were still training to fight the Russians for
Yeah.
at least, I mean, until like reports started coming back of what was actually going on. I mean,
And then so you ended up actually going to Okinawa first, right? Were
yeah,
you, so how'd that sit with you? Were you a little, you mad that you weren't? Because I mean, how involved were the Marines in your knowledge at that point with Afghanistan? Because this is
not like
prior to
not a
Iraq.
ton,
Oh, I have one at least.
not a ton because like there were not a ton of I as far as I can remember, there were not, and they were all from the West Coast. So the East Coast didn't get to go to Afghanistan basically at all. Like
Okay.
from the get-go, from whenever all the initial crap happened. There were Marine units on the ground, but I'm like, we were just sitting around like, oh, so I mean, nobody knew what GWAT was going to turn into. We thought it
Oh,
was
for
going to
sure.
be
Right.
like, we all thought it was going to be like the first Gulf War, like, oh shit, we're going to go in and kick the hell out of everybody and be gone in 3 days.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, we missed our shot, guys. So we're going to Okinawa. And yeah, we left for Okinawa and whatever that was, early spring '03. So I think Iraq had just kicked off.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was in Okinawa for like a month before I got sent to Bahrain. My platoon got sent to Bahrain, and we pulled maritime security on merchant marine vessels, USNS ships, bulk refuelers and resupply ships for the Navy in the Persian Gulf. So we had to, we went all the way, all through the Persian Gulf, through the Indian Ocean, up the Red Sea, coast of Somalia, up into the Mediterranean, watching for pirates and all that crap. I mean, getting fucked with the Iranian Navy. I mean, I had an Iranian destroyer about 100 yards away from me on the ocean
Shit.
because they would come up and they would get our engagement ring was 100 meters. Anything within 100 meters of the ship, but all we had was rifles and belt feds. So we have this destroyer come up with 100 meters, and I remember one of our guys on the comms was like, "Hey, they're getting ready to break the bubble. Can I shoot?" And we're like, "Todd, you stupid bastard! Don't shoot at the destroyer with the 240." But the second we would all you have to do is radio for the Navy to show up, and the U.S. Navy would get there within 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, their boats can flat out haul ass, so they would just come and run them off because the Iranians just wanted to be dicks.
They're just fucking with you.
Yeah, all the time, like all the time. So like, but like we were out there on the water when a French oil tanker got hit by a suicide boat.
Okay.
Uh, there's some other boats that got hit. So it's like we would have to shoot at these little cigarette boats that would come flying past us. These little speedboats you get in the Straits of Hormuz, and these little speedboats would come flying out of nowhere to harass you. And yeah, you'd have to shoot at them because it was just like, you little bastards. And because we're sitting on 1.5 million gallons of JP5 and JP8 to resupply the Navy. It's like I really don't want to take you know a V bed to the side of this thing.
Well, there was that attack. What was the name of that ship that was, what was it, '03 that actually did attack one? They detonated. What was the name of that? Let me look that up. Remember that one? Like the Navy vessel that was hit by what you just described, like a suicide boat? Let me look
You
this.
know, three.
think it was the USS Cole.
That wasn't in 03, was it? I thought that was in like 99.
Oh, 2000. You're right. All right. October 12th, 2000. Two small suicide pilots or two boats. No, I can't even read. Two suicide pilots of a small bomb-laden boat pulled alongside the USS Cole, offered friendly gestures to several crew members, and then detonated explosives,
Yeah.
killing 17 and injuring 40. That's fucking from Yemen. Those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Always Yemen. Yeah, that shit would be crazy. Or not. I mean, that would be scary as fuck, to be honest, because what you're describing, um, like I don't know, like it seems from a size advantage, you're just like, oh look, this stupid little boat. But I mean, how hard was that to actually hit those and engage them?
I mean, we didn't sink any.
Yeah.
I mean, it's with the boat pitching and everything like that. I mean, half the time, like here's the thing, is like half the time it was cigarette smugglers. Uh,
Cigarette smugglers.
yeah, cigarette smugglers. They're running cigarettes across the Persian Gulf. I'm not kidding.
No, I don't. I'm just. What is there a lot of money in cigarette smuggling? Like what?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, dude, when I was in Iraq in 2008, uh, we were told like our part of our battalion was on the Syrian border doing border crossing, and they were told to look for illegal cigarette smuggling. So cigarette smuggling is a huge problem in the Middle East, and I'm just tired of nobody talking about it.
No, you're right because I do remember in 03 and 04, we were told, hey, there are counterfeit cigarettes out there, and you shouldn't be buying them because that's bad. That's bad, Travis. Like
We have so many problems.
we got to stop the counterfeit cigarette market.
Yeah, forget the Cuds force bringing in EFPs. Forget
Oh yeah, that's not
forget the surface to air missiles. Forget all that. We really need to focus on cracking down on non-taxable cigarettes being brought into Iraq.
Yeah, so I imagine that. Yeah, that's especially because were you aware of the coal? Is that why? Obviously, this is a tactic you guys were looking out for. But were
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
as
no,
a,
like
young KFC Travis over there, were you aware of that?
yeah, we had to be switched on. It wasn't like because the Persian Gulf is pretty crowded.
Yeah,
I mean,
you see a lot
so
of ships and all. Everyone's on the same routes.
yeah, you had these little wooden boats called dhows out there floating around, and they were, and it was just always just like, hey, they can't be within 100 meters of us. If they get within 100 meters, you got to start cooking at them. So it's just, it was like, it could get pretty stressful because, like I said, you have a fisherman with a 35 IQ on his wooden boat, not realizing that he's on, he's going next to an American merchant marine vessel until 50 cal tracer starts flying, through the wood of his ship, and he's like screaming, and it was a bizarre time. Being on the water is not fun. It sucks.
I have no desire. I really just. I mean, my grandfather was in the Coast Guard in World War II. Yeah, no desire to do anything on the water. I love boats. I love being on them temporarily, but to do what you're doing, no, I don't. I would no desire. I have no interest in going under the water. My limits are basically to the point of me being basically waist deep when I go to the ocean. Like I can swim, that's fine. However, I do not trust what is under the water. We don't even know most of what's under the surface of the ocean. I don't want to deal with those odds. I just don't think it was meant for
I
that.
always say I lived in Hawaii for 6 years, and I always said I respect the ocean so much I don't go in it.
Look, man, there's some there are that you want to talk about alien life forms? That's where they're at. The aliens are under the ocean.
Oh yeah, no,
They're down there.
Deep sea life has nothing to do with surface. It's completely horrific, ugly, disgusting, translucent, strange tooth, weird shit.
You ever been to one of those really cool, big, giant aquariums that actually have like the spider crabs, like the Japanese spider crabs? You ever seen those fucking things? Dude, if there was a Japanese spider crab walking through this door right now, like that's the shit that's down there, and it's basically the size of me.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
No,
Now,
I
they
hate
probably
them.
taste delicious, which is great. I'm all for eating these things, but man, there's some weird shit down there.
You know, it's terrible. I mean, they're just disgusting, and their skin's all slimy, like the blobfish and all the weird
Yeah, the
shit.
blobfish. Fucking blobfish. All right.
Strangely enough, blobfish have a 100% Democrat voting record. So, I don't know what that means. I don't know what the correlation between being a blobfish, a boneless sack of skin, sweaty,
They all vote
disgusting.
Democrat.
So,
I mean, that tracks. I mean, I want to get there, but I don't want to. I don't want to like. I want people. I do. I want to get there, but I want people to know and respect what you did. I think you did a lot of cool shit, and it's worth talking about. But so you did. You did find yourself though in Afghanistan in '04, right, with the Marines.
yeah. Uh, Afghanistan in '04. I don't think a lot of I think a lot of people like memory hold like how GWAT went because Afghanistan in '04 was not in the news.
No, not at all. The only thing about
Because
the news from Afghanistan, at least from the Army's perspective, was the new camouflage pattern we got.
so it's like 03, '04, like Iraq, Fallujah,
That was
Ramadi,
it.
like those
Yep, that was all
that
Marines.
just dominated the news.
Yep.
And we got to Afghanistan. We uh we took over battle space from 10th Mountain in the spring, and let's say we were a Marine unit, and we just basically about 2 weeks in Kandahar, and we jumped on birds and flew out. And our battalion commander was a he was originally Pakistani.
Really?
Yeah, he was Lieutenant Colonel Assad Khan. His call sign was Genghis Six,
That's fucking
and
awesome.
he had gotten an award because during the initial invasion, he was a Pentagon staff officer in the initial invasion during of Afghanistan. He had bounties on his head from the Taliban and Al Qaeda. He had bounties on his head because he had done a lot of work because he spoke every friggin' language
Yeah.
from since he was a kid. He'd spoke
Yeah.
every language in the
That's
area because he grew up right on the Afghanistan-Pakistan border.
no shit.
And so he came in and basically like we would roll around and he would get on the psyops guys loudspeakers.
Yeah.
He would get on the loudspeakers in the native tongue with no terp and basically call all the people women. You all of your men are women and none of you have the nerve to fight us. So we ended up getting shot at all the fucking time
That's
because
awesome.
he would go in and hold court with the elders of a village and slap people and scream at them, and it was just like this kind of feels personal.
Yeah.
It feels like you're really breaking through some childhood trauma here about being raised on the Afghan Pakistan border as a kid. But yeah, I mean we ended up with a nickname. Our unit ended up with a nickname from a captured enemy combatant. He said they referred to us as the Death Walkers because wherever we went, death followed. Because
Like that.
up until that point, our unit by the end of our deployment had more enemy KIA than the entire Afghanistan Operation Enduring Freedom had since its inception. Because we just kind of went through and like I don't know, we had more air than I've ever seen in my life. We had B2s, not B2s, B1s dropping fucking 10 J dams on stuff. We dropped I'm pretty sure we dropped a daisy cutter because I saw it come out of the back of a cargo plane and it knocks the top of a mountain off. I have no idea because like I said, Colonel Khan had a lot of connections at our unit also ended up by the end getting investigated for war crimes, but Colonel Khan got relieved of command as soon as the deployment was over. His career got ruined.
Oh.
His career got ruined because he slapped his adjutant in the face and pointed an M9 at him and said, "If you don't get comms, I'm going to shoot you in the head."
That could be a problem.
Apparently you can't do that.
That's frowned upon, yes.
You can't do that cowboy shit anymore in the modern military.
Well, you just can't let anyone report it.
But But yeah, we had a great time. I mean, it was a hell of a tour, and it was a whirlwind fucking meat grinder. But we honestly walked out of it. We only had one guy KIA and like maybe
Um,
15 dudes wounded out of the whole battalion.
that's winning the war.
But like I said, we relied pretty friggin' heavy on air. Like A-10s, Cobras, Apaches, like
Dale, you had Dale rolling with you.
yeah, we hammered the absolute. I mean, yeah, I had an A-10 dude that, I mean, I would say that the A-10 when I was in Afghanistan, one time they definitely kept our asses from getting smoked.
That's
Like they
amazing.
had somebody had the whoever the shit we were shooting at had a AA gun in the back of a Hilux.
Oh shit.
Opened up at us with 23 millimeter guns,
Oh shit.
and like having that big shit shot at you is not the same as AK fire. And
Yeah.
within about 30 seconds, that guy opening up, his truck disappeared underneath the gun of an A10, an A10. I'm not kidding. He
That's
opened
amazing.
up and you hear just he was gone. The truck was gone. Like the guy was right there. I was like, that's fucking clutch. It's being clutch.
That's yeah, that is pretty. Yeah, I remember like some of the stories when I talked with Dale when I had him on. Yeah, I mean, that is pretty cool, and it's also pretty crazy to realize just how responsive it is. And I got to go back though. So okay, two things. Colonel Khan, was he like right there with you guys when all this shit would go on?
Yeah,
Or?
he was
Okay,
always in the middle of it.
he's all right. Okay. Do you have any idea where he is now?
No, no, I don't. You can, I mean, like somebody I actually looked him up online and somebody had done an article about him because like I guess he had a kid join or something, but
I gotta look this up.
like Colonel Khan, like he was an absolute he was a stud. Like,
He
you know
sounds.
how you go to battalion runs
Yeah. Yeah.
and you cringe because it's going to be like a 9.5 minute mile pace
Yeah.
for 3 miles.
He was the opposite.
He would run a literal friggin' 6 minute mile on battalion runs.
Nice.
No, it was terrible
No,
because
I bet.
it was awful because I can't run a friggin' 6 minute mile. Fastest
No.
mile I ever ran was 7. I mean, I
Yeah,
couldn't
no,
run
I'm not doing it.
6.
I'm not doing that
He would
shit.
just take off, and it was like if you fell behind the very lead company. I mean, by the time you got back to battalion formation, like the fallout company would
Yeah.
be about half the battalion. It was like, what are you doing, dude? You're insane. You have this many dudes trying to run a friggin' 18-minute 3 mile.
That
And
is
yeah,
cool. But that's, I mean, let's be
he
fair.
didn't give a shit.
That's how it
He would
fucking
just
should be.
he would just prove he was like the old man can out. He
Yeah.
would always just say the old man can PT anybody's dick in the dirt.
How
Anybody
old is
wants to come PT with me? Come on. He would always say,
I love that. I love
anybody want to
that.
go on Commander's PT? Let's go. I'll guarantee you I'll break you.
I love it. How was the sergeant major?
He was a friggin' he was a mentally handicapped pogue that used to be a tanker. Um,
Love
he was the biggest retard on the face of the earth. Um,
Oh
like
shit.
he'd been a tanker his whole life. He'd never been in an infantry battalion, and he shows up and it was like, we're an infantry battalion, which means we are going to fuck up so gloriously every weekend that you're gonna hear about us. And I remember our unit, our unit saying was 1-6 hard. First Battalion, 6 Marines, 1-6 hard, because of Johnny the Hard. Is a war. It goes back to World War One. I
Okay.
won't bore you with the history of
No,
that.
I want to be bored. Let's do it.
But we get this one weekend, and we had a dude that fought like 3 cops. Another dude got stabbed at a strip club.
Hell yeah.
And another dude, he ran over a prostitute to get his money back. All these guys got caught and arrested, right? And we're sitting there like Monday morning formation. He's reading off the incident reports for the weekend. He's like, "You aren't 1-6 hard. You're 1-6 drunk." And we all hit him with the biggest hoorah of all time. Like the whole unit was just stoked to be called 1-6 drunk, and he's like, "It's not a compliment, you dumb."
Actually,
Like,
that's
sir,
awesome.
do you not, Sergeant Major, do you not remember what it's like to be lower enlisted?
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
say
it is funny. It's
we're winning the drunk wars against all the other battalions,
gotta win something, right? That's awesome.
not
That's
good at anything else.
that's well, I do love that it's basically a story as old as time, and it crosses it intersects with all branches. Maybe not the Air Force so much. I definitely don't know about the Space Force, but yeah, I mean between like fucking the Navy and the Marines and the Army, everyone's got those exact same awesome stories about customer dissatisfaction with uh you know service providers. All right, so okay, so you got out after that, and then what made you? Were you always wanting to go to the army, or did you get a calling to come back in? What was the deal?
I got out, and honestly, I kicked myself in the ass for that because, like, me and the Army never ended up meshing very well. But I just had that. I was a corporal. I had that terminal, like, the same thing you get in the Army as a specialist. I had that terminal E4 syndrome. It was just like, fuck this. I'm tired of being told what to do. I'm tired of being told to clean my room. I'm a 22-year-old adult man, damn it. You
Hell
know,
yeah,
you're stupider than, just dumber than hell.
dumb as
Just
fuck.
the
Yeah,
dumbest shit on the planet. I'm like, I'm tired of being told what to do. I'm tired of being told to pick up trash and I'm all this crap. All the stuff you hate. Like, I was fed up with all the shit you hate about the service. And so yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna get me an education and all that crap. And I was married. I mean, I got married. I got married before my first deployment. I mean, I've
oh,
been married all 4 years,
oh, awesome.
and I was just like, I'm tired of being gone. I'm tired of being away from her. I want to be home. Yada yada yada. Blah blah blah. And I got home and ended up going to college and dropped out before the end of the first semester, and was like, well, I did have a sense of guilt because, like, that was in that was in that was late '05 because I joined the Army in December of '05. So just basically right before '06. And like, I was watching the news and it's just like, 32 members of the Indiana National Guard were reported. Yeah, I'm just saying Indiana. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
saying Pacific, but it was like 32 members were wounded in this. And it's like all these units are losing people. And I was just like, and there's kids just, I mean, I'm watching kid after kid go to the recruiter station. I mean, I'm from small town Illinois. It's,
Yeah.
it's not like regular Illinois. It's very patriotic. It's very country service oriented. I mean, I'm watching all these kids go off. I'm like, they have no fucking clue what they're walking into. And I do. I know what I've already done it.
Yep.
So maybe I could help. And not only that, I'm doing shit. I'm garbage as a civilian. I'm doing terrible at this. So I might as well go back. It's what I'm good at. So I joined the Army, and yeah, it was a little bit of a culture shock. It was not the same thing at
Why
all.
why the army though? You didn't. Why not back to the Marines?
Um, I had delusions of grandeur
Gotcha.
because
Yeah.
the getting into getting into anything specialized in the Marines, uh recon, force recon, Raiders didn't really had just Marsoc had just being was just being
Yeah. You did
created
say that. Oh
when I
six.
got out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it really hadn't been fielded yet. And I was just like, I was looking at the Army and I was like, man, the Army is better. The Army's way better family oriented. So as far as like I had a wife that was pregnant when I joined the Army, and it was like the Army is more family friendly,
Okay.
but it's bigger. It has the luxury of being more family friendly because it has more members. So it's like it's more family friendly for one. For two, it had a lot more avenues for getting into that next echelon of service. Like, so
Gotcha.
you had
Yep.
Green Berets, you had Ranger Bat, you had, all the way up to CAG or whatever. So I
Something
was
for
like,
you to build upon your infantry background, right?
yeah, I was like, they have that next echelon that I'm looking for. So yeah, I was like, and I think they offered more money for reenlistment. I don't remember, but the Army, basically, I was just like, I gave the Marine Corps a shot. Why not try the Army? Plus, I didn't have to go to basic again.
Yeah, that is true. That is the one nice little perk of the Marine Corps. So when you join the Army, you don't get to go to basic training. You don't have to. That's good. Yeah. And then it sounds like you basically showed up to your unit, wherever that was, and then you were right back in Iraq, huh?
Yeah, 25th
Oh, you went to
Infantry.
Hawaii. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
I got offered
That's not bad.
Fort Hood,
Ugh.
Washington State,
Eh,
Hawaii, and
yeah.
Germany.
2 out of 4 ain't bad.
And I basically like looked at my wife and I said, this would be the only chance in our lives we ever get to even visit Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm an infantryman. I don't want to go to Fort Lewis where it rains 9 months out of the year.
You don't want to go to Germany where you're in the snow.
And I don't want to go to Germany because, fuck Europe. But
Okay. We'll have to touch on that. I like it.
but yeah, so I was like, let's just do Hawaii. It's an option. So yeah, we went to Hawaii and we joined the 25th dimension out there.
Acorn, the Acorn division. You got so well. Oh, so, yeah. So, because I remember, so I was leaving Iraq in 05 with first AD, and I remember the 25th was like the main ones coming in to replace them. Were you on like the tail end of that, or?
Let me think. My kid was born in March. I joined in December of 2010. My kid was born in March. No, was it? 5 months later, 5 months after March. So yeah, into summer.
You were, yeah, your brigade was probably just getting there, because I think they were kind of, it wasn't like the whole division of the 25th came in, so that makes sense.
No, and I think the Schofield 25th and the Hawaii 25th were in Iraq at the same time. I mean, the Alaska. I said Hawaii.
Yeah, you guys got one in Alaska too. Yeah.
Yeah, the Alaska 25th is the airborne guys. So
yeah.
But yeah,
did you do that, or did you get out as a leg? Are you a leg?
Not fucking leg, dude. I carry everything.
Nice. Where did you end up going to in Iraq? Were you in Baghdad, or where were you at?
First deployment, we were just north of Mosul and Talafar.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were
That was
pre-surge
06,
as well.
07. I mean, that was 06. So we were in country when the first 15-month extension hit.
Yeah, I was about to say you were basically the cause of the surge, because you guys were so fucking understaffed, undermanned, underwhelmed, and then overextended because, like you just said, hey, why not keep him there for 15 months?
Bro, we were at 9 months when they extended us.
Oh, I love it. I got 6 extensions in 03. So I mean, I get it. Like, our whole thing was sold on, yeah, you'll be home before Christmas. And then we caught Saddam on like the 14th of December, and it's like, oh, for sure we're going home. That never fucking happened. So yeah, 3 more extensions.
We had just begun, because like 90 days out is when you begin the drawdown for battle space handover. We just started battle space handover, and we were in the friggin' chow hall with the news on. And the news announces that all units currently in Iraq have been extended to 15 months.
So that's how you found out?
Yeah, no shit. Found out in the chow hall. And like, we go back to our chews and we're just sitting around like, are we here for another 3 months? Are we here for 6 months? 6 more months? 6 more months? And they have a friggin' company formation. They're like, some of you have already heard, but yes, we have to extend. It's like, you sons of bitches. You guys fucking... We found out eating chow at the.
Yeah. Why not? How great is that? That's just so because now, if it was today, you'd find out on Twitter.
Yeah, you'd find out somewhere.
But
like, I mean, that 06 to the beginning of 08 tour.
That's crazy, man.
If you weren't in country from 06 to 07, like that's during that was the IED.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was a pre-surge buildup almost. That's what
it was awful. I mean, it was like the U.S. was losing like 100 dudes a month in country. I mean, not dead, but just
Yeah,
casual.
casualties. Yeah.
I mean, because it was just like, oh, hey, you'd get on the radio, hey, second platoon just hit an IED, third platoon hit an IED, first platoon has not hit an IED. Oh, never mind, first platoon hit an IED. Just like, I mean, it was so nerve wracking because you're just like, I would always get on the radio the minute we left the wire, and I'd be like, hey, everybody, kiss your legs goodbye. I mean, because it was,
What a dick.
we were getting fucking blown up every day. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's just so, it's like you got so fucking angry because you're just like, I just want to shoot somebody. Quit, just give me somebody to shoot at. I'm
Yeah.
tired of getting
Stop
blown
playing
up.
these fucking IED games. No, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Now I ended up getting a V device because we ended up actually taking fire from or we had some dudes trying to set IEDs that ended up shooting back, and we got into we ended up getting into, by the end of that deployment, a few direct combat engagements that weren't just getting blown up by shit you didn't see in the road. And it was just so like, I was like telling all the Joes, I'm just like, once you guys get in a gunfight, you'll realize that it's so much better than getting blown up.
You have a chance.
It's so
And you have
much better.
superior skill and odds usually, right? So
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like because I mean, I'd already been in gunfights in Afghanistan because the IEDs hadn't hit Afghanistan yet when I was in
yeah.
there in 04.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're in Iraq. I mean, I remember the first time we got shot at, I'm just like, it's finally happening, boys. Like, let's fucking go. Don't waste this opportunity.
So what was Talifar more of a urban environment or was it more like country? How was that?
Uh it wasn't a huge town, but it was big enough. It had a castle there.
Oh
Um,
shit.
yeah, it had a no shit castle. I mean, it was one
Like
of our
Roman
patrol
or
bases.
Greek? What was it?
What? What?
You say Roman or Greek? What was this castle
I have
from?
no idea.
No.
I have no idea
Yeah,
its
look this shit
origin.
up. Let's look this Talifar castle. I'm gonna look this up. This is real time
I mean,
search engine.
that would have been. I mean, maybe Assyrian. I would
Yeah.
assume because
Okay. I
it's
just like
right
to
there
throw out
south,
the I
or
like to throw out
Ottoman.
the easy ones.
It's right there south of Turkey, so maybe Ottoman, maybe. But
Okay.
I never asked about its origin. But like, yeah,
Telfar Castle. Here we go. Citadel. Built by the Ottoman Empire. Good for you. There you go. Going back to the Assyrian period. Yeah, nice.
yeah, but yeah, that was one of our patrol bases where we'd pull in for
Isn't that pretty cool though? You get to you literally were that was like
yeah.
that some of that that's what I really liked about Iraq was like that stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
it was also it was an IP. It was a Iraqi police.
I
It was an
can see
Iraqi
their
police
little
station there too.
station. Yeah.
I mean, you could
That's
go to
pretty cool
sleep.
again.
You could go to sleep tonight at the sweet sounds of the Iraqi police
Yeah.
questioning detainees.
Yeah, best and the brightest right there for sure. Yeah, I like this little like this round looking Overwatch. They kind of got little
Yeah, we were
Ooh, Talifar Citadel. Interesting. I have to read more about
our
that.
barracks there was right in the middle of the courtyard. Like when we'd catch mortar fire, it'd be right there in the parking lot next to where we were sleeping and shit.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, there's perks to this shit, right? Like, it is what
Yeah.
it is. All right. So, and you said you got a V device. What,
Oh yeah.
Archon or
Yeah, Arcom.
okay.
I
Well,
got
wait,
put
hold on. What was your rank?
I was in E4 when I got put in for
Okay,
it.
that explains why you got the Archon with V. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. My first sergeant's I got put in for a bronze star with a V.
Yep, automatically downgraded.
Yeah.
Automatic. Nice.
My
You were an
first
E4.
sergeant's exact words were, there's zero chance I'm pinning a bronze star on a still living E4.
That's fucking great.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, he lived. He goes, there's
Yeah.
zero chance I'm pinning a bronze star on a still breathing E4.
Yeah, I mean that tracks. I had a buddy who was a drill sergeant with me at Benning in '09, and he was in third ID during the invasion, and he was a PFC, and he got an ARCOM with V device. And like when he showed us, like you read the citation, The dude's like under withering fire, running ammo supply back to like the guns who are out. He's like crossing open fields with 2 ammo cans. He's getting shot to shit. Archon with V device. Like you read everything that he did, and it's like, oh, and you were a PFC. That explains it.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I had pinned E5 by the time we, because I didn't get that award until post deployment award ceremony. So I had pinned E5. So by the time I got it, it was I had been a sergeant. But yeah, it was Archon would be. Well, I mean, whatever. It's just an award.
No, that's it. I mean, yeah, I mean, I get it though, but having that V device that matters, man. And I think
The best
that's
part
pretty
about
cool.
how that award was like we were in a narrow alley. We started taking mortar fire like in between buildings, and it was walking towards us. And that's when I was like, I mean, I couldn't hear what was going on because I had my Apple my headphones run up under my baklava for my grenade pouch, and I was listening to Thunder Kiss 65 by White Zombie.
Awesome.
Our company commander was in our platoon, or was in our thing, and we had Lieutenant Kim with us, which he was like a 3 foot tall Korean dude with a radio. And I grabbed him by the back of his pack, and I threw him through a door, a door that it wasn't latched. But I grabbed him and I threw him through the door, and knocked the door open, and we all took cover in the shop until the mortar round stopped, and then I took off sprinting, trying to find the forward observer, and left everybody behind like a dumbass. I ended up hooking up with a platoon of fucking Iraqi police clearing buildings.
Yikes.
Me and like 12 Iraqis, and I'm just like, I'm the only white person here.
That's a little unnerving.
I'm still
And you're on the
listening.
whole, and you're on the away.
Yeah, and I'm still listening to my friggin' iPod. You guys good? What's up, boys? Let's go. And like, man, I'm jumping over roofs, climbing. They ended up calling me Spider-Man because they're just like, we can't keep. And I was just fucking gassed up because we were actually getting shot at, not blown up for once. But the most hilarious thing is on my warrant for my award, it says Sergeant Arnold's withering and accurate fire with his 203 suppressed the enemy and all. You ever read a report, like an award warrant? You realize they make you sound like John Rambo.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like the dude, he's running withering gunfire.
Yeah, bro. From my first shot with my 203, hit a dude's satellite television dish. That's about 12 to 15 feet below where I was aiming, and I didn't realize that the front latch of my 203 had come unclogged
So your shit's
when I was jumping over a roof. So my first shot just ruined some poor dude's television and was not even close to where I was shooting. My first shot, I'm like, boom, boom, and hits, and I'm just like, holy shit, that wasn't even close. And I looked at my 203
tube. Walk this in a little bit.
My 203 tube sitting like this beneath my friggin' M4 barrel. I'm just like, my God, how embarrassing is this?
That's great, man. Like, see, and
accurate and suppressing fire with my
exactly. Yeah, they don't know, they weren't there. They're just taking whatever you tell them, right? So. All right, so I know we're fast forwarding a little bit, but then you found yourself back, right? 2008.
Yeah, and if anybody, like, we were just outside of Balad.
25th again, or did you
Yeah,
had
still
PCS?
25th. I was I got stuck in that rut, which I know it's a self-doubt rut, which the guys that pass selection don't have. It's that self-doubt rut of, I have to be in better shape before I go. Like, I'm not switched on enough to go to selection yet, right? I got to be in better shape. I got to ruck more, all that crap. Well, convincing myself of that, I never ended up going. I went to the brief. I signed a packet, all that crap, and ended up saying, "Hey, I got to turn down a class date because I'm leaving for Iraq again," and all that stupid shit, because it was just self-doubt. I was just like, I'm never going to be in good. I got to be in better shape before I go. But that second Iraq tour was, I mean, I ended up volunteering for route clearance because it was so boring.
Oh shit. Were you E5, E6 then, or what?
E5 still,
E5 still.
yeah.
Damn. So you okay?
Um,
Where were you
it
at
was
that time?
we were just outside of Balad around Tikrit,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Tikrit. Sadly enough, I don't even remember the name of the fob we were on that deployment.
Very memorable. I mean, what most people know to crit, that's where they pulled Saddam up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it was like being police. It wasn't like being infantry. I mean, like we'd go around and confiscate crap, and we didn't get hit nearly as much with IEDs. We barely got shot at. I mean, it was just boring. It was a boring 12 months. It was terrible. I got friggin' huge though.
Yeah, I was gonna
But
say, hey, that's the one thing we neglect. Hey, you get all that time there. You need to
yeah,
just
no,
start lifting.
I went to the chow hall 6 times a day, just
Hell
lifting.
yeah. Just
I mean, I just
lifting. Just lifting and patrols and
yeah, I got stupid huge. But it was just I mean I could barely wipe my ass. I got so big, uh but it was just boring. It was terrible. It was
I
terribly
mean, what
boring.
also, let's go back because that also tracks because we've seen the picture that you've posted. You don't got much of an, you're a big guy, not much of an ass though, man. Like, let's be
It's genetic. Thank my dad for that because it's I
like,
can squat a house.
I believe it, but unfortunately, you're not getting any help from from the glutes.
No, none. None. None at all.
It's a great picture. I hope he still has it on his feed. You should go onto his account and find it. Just underscore Trav underscore A. Go look. It's go back a
This is
few months. You'll find it. It was Memorial Day, wasn't it? 4th of July, maybe.
yeah, it's like me and the Silkies.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, no, yeah, I have never seen so many heterosexual dudes obsessed with another man's ass before.
Yeah, welcome to Twitter, man. Like everyone will find something to be obsessed about, ass or not. All right, and then so you got out in 010?
Well, I didn't not by choice, but yeah, I got med retired. Uh, it was that was a pretty dark period because like the drinking and other stuff got out of control. I lost my mind. Like I don't know if you've ever seen somebody spiral out of control, but I spiraled really bad. And I was lucky enough that my activities uh that the doc they sent me to is like this guy has a decade of decorated honorable service and then just suddenly turns into this person. It's not normal. And that's when they were like, how many blast exposures have you had? How many times have you been knocked unconscious? And I was like, I think I've been knocked out like 4 or 5 times from IDs and rollovers and other stuff. And, you know, I've been blown up 12, 13 times. And it's just like, they're like, you're not yourself. And at the whole time, I'm just like, I'm still me. I can still serve. And they're like, you've had enough because, uh, you know, look at the trouble I got in trouble. I mean, I got demoted and everything. It was a friggin' shit show. And it's, you know, that's a point of shame I'll never be able to get over. But deep
What?
down inside, I also realized that that wasn't me. And
Right.
it took a good decade, uh, maybe not a decade, but 5, 6 years, 7 years after service for me to even back out where I wasn't that just raw nerve of just being a friggin' lunatic. So
What do you think caused it?
I have no idea. I think honestly, I mean,
Survivor's guilt, anything like that? You
some of
think?
that, like,
Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, that just always sucks. But it was just always, I don't know. Like, I stopped giving a shit. I don't
Yeah.
know. I came home from in 2000 and so that was 2009. I came home and I just honestly didn't give a shit about anything. I didn't care about my family. I didn't care about my career. I just
How many kids did you have at that time?
two.
Two. Damn.
And I was lost. I was an absolute lost mess. I had drifted away from my faith. I had drifted away from everything. I was just yeah, I was just existing. I mean, and it not well. It was a shit show. And I was fortunate enough that my wife stayed with me through all of my friggin' mistakes, and it was bad. But we made it. But I just especially after I got in trouble and like that started spiraling down because I got in trouble, and then once I got on the radar for being in trouble, I got in more trouble and all that kind of crap. I just like when I lost the service, because I was gonna stay in forever. I mean, that was my thing, was
Yeah.
being in the military. I was gonna stay in forever. I had just re-upped. Uh I had secured a slot for Ranger School to try to get into bat.
Mhm.
And I was like, I've got a career path here. And all I had to do was stay focused on that. But we got back from Iraq and I just basically gave everything the double middle finger and walked off to a bar. But uh I got out of it. So I mean I'm still alive now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, clearly something saved you, right? Like most
Yeah.
the story you're describing, and I don't mean to marginalize this in any way, but there's a lot of people who have your story who don't come back,
Yeah.
who don't come back from it. So you did though. And I was just curious what what was kind of the for lack of a better term, the come to Jesus moment where you turned that around.
Um I came home. I mean, I moved home to my hometown. Um I ended up uh basically like buying my childhood home from my mom and dad.
Oh shit, that's
They
awesome.
they built a new house and uh got into church and just eventually like I don't know, eventually it just hit me in the face. It was just like you're a dad, you have to
Yeah.
stop. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you
And
can't
you
be
have
this
three
way.
sons, man.
Yeah, you can't be
That's
this way,
awesome.
But yeah, so it just eventually like reality set in and it was just not giving up and I probably could have gave up quite a few times, but
Oh, for sure. And like I said, unfortunately, a lot do.
yeah. And it's not me that won it either. I mean, I'll put all the credit towards God for
Yep.
uh bringing me back home, you know.
That's great, man. That's a great ending to that what could have gone in a lot of other directions. And like I said, unfortunately, it does go in a lot of other directions for a lot of guys. And I'm glad you were one of the ones who was able to, recognize it, acknowledge the signs, and follow them as best. Especially, you say it now, acknowledging that hey, God's got something better for you than to just throw it all away in a moment of whatever self defeat. And
Yeah.
that's great. So now you're here. Like I see like the ending of what I asked you to send me. Like you're involved in church. You got three sons. That's fucking cool. So are any of those young men following in your footsteps? Are you keeping them away from it? Where are you at on that? Because I know that's a big
Um
thing in our community.
my oldest son is going to be a preacher.
Nice. Catholic
Um
priest? Come on, what's up?
no, no, no,
No.
no. We're
Damn.
Protestant.
That's we'll work on that. No, just kidding.
Yeah, my wife used to be Catholic, but I converted her.
Oh wow, that's supposed to go the other way. You know what? I can get her on. We'll get her on next week and talk to her about how that went.
But he wants to be a preacher, so
Cool.
he's
Awesome.
leaving for college in about a week to Ozark Christian College in Joplin, Missouri. Our middle son, he wants to join the Navy.
Okay.
He's interested in being a nuclear propulsion technician.
Nice. A real job. I like it. Good for him.
So like, and he's got a
One of those
tested
smart
physics,
kids.
so he's smart enough to
Yeah.
do it.
I was gonna say, is he one of those smart kids? You gotta get that ASVAB score.
Yeah, he's stupid smart. It's like
Good.
scary smart.
Good.
And then our youngest kid, he's only 7, so who
Oh,
knows?
okay. Yeah.
He's obsessed with Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. So
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably go get him right now. Let's see if we can get him to commit to something while he's
he's probably the most like me as far as being a soulless friggin' monster. But
No, you weren't though. Like your path literally as a kid led you to what you ultimately ended up doing.
yeah, but
I
yeah,
mean,
he's
I think that I'm being honest. I think that's cool as shit, man. Like you look back on those moments, they're very formulative for you as a kid, but you literally pursued that path and you made it all happen and you came through it and you did a lot of honorable things for this country, regardless of whatever the fucking political outcomes were of it. And you were able to recognize an opportunity to either go one way or the other, and you still made, you know, the right choice and followed the right path to get back to where you could be a good father and a good husband. Like, you're a good example, man. Like, you shouldn't think your son is like soulless like you, because that's not true at all. I think it's the opposite. I think you are
No.
a great story of the type of guy we still have in this country. And you're not the only one, and that is a good thing. And now I will rant on the opposite, because I think, unfortunately, great individuals like yourself, who are literally the salt of the earth, you know, you're the guys from the small parts and small towns of this country who, like you described, you saw all these young kids going into these recruiting stations, no questions asked, just doing it. And I feel like at this point, you know, like, look, man, I'm 43. I think you're pretty close to it. I think now we're a little smarter. Yeah, we can say that, hey, you know what? The people like you and the ones you described, you get taken advantage of. And I think that's a fucking shitty deal. And unfortunately, that'll come to a halt at some point, because it's, you know, I had this discussion recently with someone who's like, you're going to run out of people like you because you're not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And then how do you go about carrying out those policy objectives when you don't have no one to enforce them?
And you have to be fighting for something you believe in.
Correct.
I
And
mean,
that's
you
why
can,
you and I joined. I mean,
I
like,
mean, dudes can, you know, I joined before there was a war or anything
yeah,
because I was,
I mean, that's what you wanted.
I was chasing that sense of adventure, right? It was like, I want that
Exactly.
adventure of being
Yeah.
in a foreign country and doing crazy things and all that. But like, you know, it's like, I don't know, because I see so many people and I see so many people ragging on Gen Z, right? Which two of my three kids are Gen Z. The youngest is what they call Generation Alpha.
Yeah.
But like I've made my kids go to the gym with me. You're not you don't yeah, I mean my rule in our house is you don't get to be fat. I mean, I'm sorry if that offends anybody, but you don't get to be fat. Uh you're going to lift weights, you're going to exercise. I make my kids play football, and even if they uh you don't have to be the best football player on the planet, but you're going to suffer through it.
Yep.
You're not going to quit.
Yeah.
You're going to suffer through practice, you're going to suffer through playing. We don't have wrestling or anything else here, but football was my sport in high school, so it's the one thing, you know, I can help them, but it's just like you're going to lift weights, you're going to play football, and you're not going to be lazy. That's just it's pretty simple. It's not like, and you got to work. You're going to have, if you want money, you're going to have to get a job. You're going to have to do something. And I know there's a ton of dudes that like me, vets or whatever, guys with these kids that aren't the TikTok Gen Z generation, if that makes any sense, you know.
No, it does, and it's good. But I think my ultimate point with sons like you're raising is, there's going to come a kind of like there's a line, and I think
Yeah.
they can't even, you can't hide it anymore from even your kids. Like, it's out there, and it's
And
the line
a
is
lot of kids
that.
like a lot of kids like mine where I don't want my I don't, I mean, I'm not like it's the same thing with Vietnam era boomers that fought in Vietnam were very against their kids joining the military.
Yeah.
I'm not stoked on the idea of my kids joining the military, especially depending on who's in office at the time. You know, what our country's direction is. Um, I'm not gonna. I would never tell any of my kids to join the infantry because it's just like you're you're not going to leave the service with any sort of, you know, valuable skills, transferable skills. I mean,
Yeah.
I was a fantastic infantryman, but that is not transferred over to being anywhere near like successful in the American workforce.
Yeah.
You know, I've had to learn every job from scratch that I've had because it just, you know, the only thing I had going for me was the idea of time discipline and listening to what I was told to do. I mean,
Those are the skills, though, right? And that's why.
those are skills.
Yeah, that's why people do tend to prefer military when it comes to hiring on those jobs. But also, I mean, I'll be honest. If anyone gets any credit in terms of hiring when it comes from the military side, you gotta be a senior NCO, which means you got to make a life out of it, or you gotta be an officer, and that goes for the infantry as well. So I mean, if you left the service as a captain in the officer world as an infantryman, you'll be okay. But what you're describing is 100% correct, and that's a lot of it. It comes from, I mean, because I've seen it at this point, right? I've done a lot of this. I've done in the corporate world and all, and I see like, I'll agree with you halfway because I think you have the skills, you just don't know how to transfer them and put them down on paper, and that's what I think a lot of kids are starting to learn, which is a good thing, because from you leaving in 2010, you never learned this stuff. They hammer it home now, which is a good thing. But I think a lot of men like yourself, and then if anyone's going to come follow in your footsteps, they'll be better off for it. But man, I still come back to like, I don't want to subject my kids to that shit, man. Not because of the actual. I don't want to subject it to it because of the people who are in power. And you say it depends on who's. I don't really care who's in office because it's not who's in office. It's the everyone else. It's the bureaucracy. It's the people who are there for life.
Yeah.
They don't like, and that's my biggest complaint. I mean, that is my biggest complaint. You know what? We'll sit here and we'll argue with everybody and we'll talk shit on Twitter for the next X amount of months, whether it's fucking Kamala Harris or it's President Trump, but everything else, regardless of which one gets it, still remains. You know?
Yeah.
We're still gonna saber wattle whatever with fucking Iran. We're gonna do all this dumb shit. You know, we're gonna sit here and play like Daddy Warbucks with Ukraine and all this bullshit like that we don't need to be doing. And
I've actually I think I've tweeted that out before. It's just like we get so wrapped up in presidential elections when the same 68 assholes in the Senate have been there since fucking 1979.
yeah, go look at all the dudes that are literally over the age of 70.
Yeah, people that have
over the age of 80. Like
there's people that have been in Congress longer than I've been alive.
that is true. That is
they've never left
the guys as the president.
Yeah, it's nothing changes because Congress never changes. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for Biden. He wants to throw this term limit shit against, the Supreme Court. Well, like, I don't know, man. Why don't you start with the Congress and Senate as well? How about we do that? Like, why is there not just term limits for everyone in government elected positions? That would be fantastic. Everyone would be universally on board, I think, or they should.
For the most part, I mean,
yeah, depending on who's in power, right? But
yeah,
it seems like a pretty fair idea. The president gets 8 years, fine. So does Congress, and you know what? Senate gets 2 terms. You get 12. And then if you want to throw term limits on everything else, great. At least we know everyone has fucking term limits. But we're not at that point. No. All right, man. Let's make it funny now, because now I want to know. Well, actually, before I get into that, who's the most dangerous marksman in your eyes? Tell me real quick.
Alive?
No, who's the most dangerous marksman in your eyes?
Yeah, dude, it's a fucking a pizza box, dude. I mean, everybody's scared of the dude that shoots expert because they're like, he'll hit you in the head from 500 yards, and it's like, yeah, he will, but like I said, that lunatic asshole that can't shoot for shit, he's liable to shoot you 6 times in non-lethal areas and just put your ass down. You'll be crawling around bleeding, screaming for death, and he's gonna be sitting there cracking off another round at you, trying to put you down, and everybody's screaming at him, just kill the poor bastard, and he's like, I'm trying.
And I said it like you literally described to me, like, because that's me as a shooter. First of all, look, I got a lot of deficiencies working against me. I can't see for shit. I've got PRK now from the Army, but I used to always have like glasses or contacts. My whole family on my mom's side, we've got really shaky hands. So 300-meter targets, that's just the luck, right? So my best ever best ever at the pinnacle of my military shooting career was as a drill sergeant in 2011, where I shot 35 out of 40. Other than that, if I got 30, that was a good year. I am no like, and that's saying exactly like I said. If I hit a 300-meter target, it wasn't because I meant to.
In the my best range ever was in the Marines on the KD course, and I missed 2 shots at the 500. I was 2 shots away from a perfect
Did you guys
range.
shoot 500 in the Marines?
Yeah, with irons. Back in
Well, yeah, of course. This was all with irons as well. I don't do the ACOG. Now I got a fucking pistol. It's stupid, but whatever. Um,
yeah,
damn,
we shot 500 with irons.
that's cool. Okay, and you missed twice.
Yeah, and it was my fault because
Well, yeah, who else's
I
fault would it be?
tried for I had got like 3 headshots in a row because I was being cocky, and I
Ah,
tried for 2 more and dropped 2, and then I lowered my sights to where I was hitting hitting center chest. But yeah, I could shoot. I was an expert on any weapons platform I touched. I shot expert on.
is that and I know you said there's a lot of Marines that can't shoot, but in your experience in the infantry, are most Marines, Army, infantry, like, is everyone for the most part shooting expert?
Most infantry are like I would say at least 80% of an infantry company's shooting expert.
And that's just
And
repetition, right? What do you think,
yeah,
honestly?
if you shoot pizza box in the infantry, you're gonna get hazed. And, uh,
But that's what
but
makes a
yeah,
good
no,
shooter, right? It's fucking repetition.
well, yeah, I mean, it's you love baseball, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was having an argument with a guy the other day, and he was not an argument. It was actually a very well respected discussion, disagreement for Twitter terms. But like he shared something of this dude that's a USPCA gold master, former CAG guy, and he had a way of doing things, and I was just like, that's not the way I've ever been trained to do it. And I'm like, if you do reps the way I know how to do it, you may not ever, you'll never be as good as that guy because that guy's the pinnacle of the game. But
Yeah.
that's like saying, hey, as long as I copy Aaron Judge's swing, I can be Aaron Judge. It's like as long as if I swing if I can copy Cal Ripken Jr. swing perfectly, I will have the same batting average as Cal Ripken Jr. I
Yeah.
can be Ken Griffey Jr. as long as I copy his swing. No, those guys have a different attribute, a different level,
It's called talent.
and and the number of reps they do. The
Yeah.
number of reps, I mean, it's baseball and shooting are very, very similar. Is you can get really, really good at it as long as you have, I mean, as long as you put in the reps. I don't know of any other sport besides baseball where somebody that doesn't have the genetic gifts of another guy can still succeed because he has the determination to put in the reps to get his form down, to get down. As long as he sees enough pitches, he's going to hit. As long as he throws enough pitches, he's going to throw strikes. As long as he fields enough ground balls, he's going to be able to scoop a ground ball. Baseball is a very, very repetition based sport.
Yep.
And it's a lot like shooting. As long as you shoot, as long as you get the reps in shooting, you will figure out how to make yourself good if you have any sort of ability at it whatsoever. You'll figure out how to become better because you'll see your mistakes and you'll make adjustments, minor adjustments, small adjustments here and there. So that's why I was just like, yeah, I mean, that's great if you want to copy the best at it on the planet right now. If you want to copy that guy's form, that's awesome. But if you're starting from scratch from a form that you've never ever practiced before, it's not going to pay dividends.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
it's all about mastering the basics. I mean, that's every sport. That's same with shooting. Once the basics become muscle memory, once the basics become second nature, your body will do the basics, and your mind is allowed to go to that next level of concentration of, all right, I'm gonna dive as long as I glove this ball and get it into my throwing hand, I can throw off balance and do something crazy.
yeah.
As long as I can get my gun out of my magazine and up indexed and on target, as long as I can do that quickly and I know that my body's doing that, I can go ahead and do that while my eyes are getting ready to track targets. And it's that idea of that's the difference between pros and amateurs. Is amateurs have to practice the basics, are still trying to master the fundamentals. Pros have mastered the fundamentals.
Yep.
I mean, and I've shot ranges with CAG dudes. I've shot ranges with SEAL Team 6 guys. You know, the pinnacle of the United States military shooting community. And what you see them do at the beginning of a range is just draw and shoot slow and under control. And it's just like they're just warming up. They're just going through the basics. They're completely and totally they're dry firing, put a couple rounds down, pop, pop. Okay, that's where I'm at right now. Okay, think about it. Think about it. All right, let's go do the shoot house. And suddenly they're running 100 miles an hour and doing fucking ninja shit. And you're just like, I'm still like, my reload. Okay, that's this out. I gotta pull my magazine. And they can do that stuff without thinking. And that's the difference between a pro and somebody that's semi-pro or amateur.
That is the pro on any level. But and it's also, I mean, because I know it's another interest of yours, but you're also describing, and I learned all this stuff from my father, who was a bodybuilder, weightlifter, and all. But you're describing weightlifting as well. Like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like there's so many. Everybody wants to be strong, right? Everybody wants to go lift and heavy shit and all, but look, if you have never stepped a foot in the gym ever, and you are convinced that bench press is the thing that you feel like you need to be great at, and you put 315 pounds on that bar and you try that the first time, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like you're literally gonna die. Like I'm not even making that up. You will actually die.
Yeah.
If you manage to get the bar off of the fucking, the rack, you will die with 315 pounds over you, no spot, never lifted before in your life. You're gonna die. And I think that and that's why I think weightlifting, bodybuilding, however you want to call it, powerlifting, they're all the same. They're all sports of incremental, sometimes small incremental increases. Like it is not unreasonable for a legit world-class level, an Olympic level powerlifter or Olympic weightlifter to add 2.5 pounds to their lift over the course of a year.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're going to get into the what they call the novice effect, right? Like just start. Well, I can bench 45 pounds a day. Next week I'm doing 55. Holy shit. I'm getting strong as fuck every week. And then eventually you hit that mark where the novice is over and now you're at that intermediate level. And then you get to that like advanced level. And it's all about, like I just said, how do I add 2.5 pounds? Not how do I add 25 pounds like I was doing as a fucking novice where I think I'm cool and hot shit. Like, no, your body reaches a physical level of ability. Like everyone's got that pre-programmed ability. It's like, how do you navigate it and then continue to take advances and take it to a better level? And that's the same thing with shooting. It's the same thing with baseball. It's the same thing with any fucking sport, right? Talent helps, but and there's a great saying like, hey, hard work beats talent who doesn't put in hard work. And that's all it is. Like,
and that's my favorite part about weightlifting is that you don't weightlift. If you get serious about weightlifting, you have to swallow the idea of failure.
Yeah,
because
you have to fail. That's all it is.
If you do not hit failure, you'll never get better.
Right.
And that's the whole point. It's like you find a new max. It's like, say, like you said, Ben, say you finally put up 315 and you're like, I gotta try 325. And then it crushes you under the bar and your spotter has to pick it up because you don't have that extra 10 pounds in you.
No,
and
not at that level.
And suddenly it's like, oh shit, I'm a failure. I'm a failure again. I went from being at the top of my game to 2 minutes later, I'm a failure because I failed hitting my weight. But if you don't find a weight you fail at, you'll never figure out how strong you can be, how strong you can push.
Yeah.
You have to find failure. If you don't find failure, you're not exercising properly.
And that's also what I mean, this is the stuff I'm trying to convince and put into my daughter's head. It's like, look, you are going to fail. Like it's inevitable. You have to. And you have to experience that. You have to know what that's like so you can come back from it. But also you have to be able to identify, hey, here's a failing moment. I am failing. I am not going to achieve this right now. But what do I do to come back from it? How do I do that? And then how do I get to that point where I'm past that? Because exactly, like that's strength training, right? And you're gonna always run into fucking plateaus and obstacles and barriers to advancing to a different level of strength. Like that's what's part of the human experience, in my opinion. Like I love this shit. That's what I love about any type of sport, but specifically baseball and lifting, Olympic lifting, power, all that stuff. This isn't curls in the rack, right? Like whatever. It's you're going to come up against failure. Like you can already see it in your head. Like like you just said, like okay, maybe it's 315 on the bench, maybe it's a 405 squat, maybe like all you want is to be able to deadlift 500 pounds, and you're at like 490, and you're like, holy shit, I'm so fucking close. But you know how long it's going to take you to go from 490 to 500? Probably longer than it took you to get to 490.
Yeah. I was stuck at a 495 deadlift for 6.5 months.
That's my brother. He's always like, I gotta go do 490. I'm like, bro, just do 500. Why are you doing 495?
I couldn't get it. I'm not shitting you. I could pull 495 for 3, and I couldn't pull 500 for 1.
Wow. Are you serious?
Yeah, and it was all
It's all mental. Yeah.
all
That's
mental.
crazy.
And then one day I ended up pulling 510 because I just got pissed off.
That's another thing. You can never underestimate the power of being upset. That's great, man. Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I most I ever did was 475, but I also weighed 225. So like that's not my I'm
I
balanced.
just raw numbers.
Yeah, I'm a balanced lifter, right? For whatever reason, I am not from the waist down. I don't have I don't have elite strength, right? And I think like a lot of that's maybe like I've always had a great work ethic. My competitiveness is like off the fucking charts. Like all I ever want to do is win and fucking make you awful. But I know what makes elite level athletes, and it's all hip explosion. It's all hips. Like any great athlete, they have incredible hips, whether it's fluidity, whether it's explosive, whatever. And I think a lot of that you could correlate to strength in your squat, right? And that's probably the biggest indicator of what you can do with from your hips down. And man, like my best squat ever was 335. I'm 6 foot. I weigh 205 usually, 195 to 205. But the most I've ever squatted was 335. Most I ever deadlifted was 475. And most I ever benched was 280. Actually, I'm wrong. I benched 300 in Iraq when I was 170, but that was different time. We won't talk about why. But
I know.
Yeah.
The same reason I got strong in Iraq.
Yes, but so yeah, I will claim 280, probably bench 300 once, but yeah, like and I still to this day I still do my lifting, and I would love to surpass 35 again, but I don't know if I will. I don't really care. But
for me, like I was always shamed that my squat and bench were so close.
Yeah.
Because my bench max was 405.
Damn.
Squat max was 435, and my deadlift was 510.
You're so close to 1500, bro. You're right there.
No, I gave up, dude. I gave up on that shit because I got up to 230 pounds lifting that way at 5'8". Not tall, just a square.
How tall are you?
Right now I'm 5'8".
You're 5'8". Why the fuck did I think you were my height?
I have no idea.
I don't know. But you know what? That's another thing though. Like you guys at 5'8", you guys are like that's like the 5'8", 5'9" is like the sweet spot for powerlifting.
Here's the depressing part.
Unless you're 7 feet tall like the fucking those dudes, but that doesn't count.
I graduated high school at 5'10".
Well, yeah, I mean
2 inches in 20 years. It's like I'm gonna be 3 foot tall by the time I'm 60.
Dude, my dad was 5'9". That dude is lucky if he's 5'5" right now. And like same shit. But he was a bodybuilder from the fucking 70s and the 80s, like all the old school powerlifting.
Hey, that classic aesthetic is undefeated, man.
Oh, I know. I love like I've got some cool I post them from time to time. Like he definitely did it. Like he had it. But yeah, I mean that shit takes a toll on your body, man. Like I've seen all of his numbers, he says he says it. I like to talk with him a little bit, but he's like, yeah, I deadlifted 605, and I squatted all this shit and all. And I believe it, but it's like, man, he's 75 now and he's just beat the fuck down from all the weightlifting he's
I
done.
see the workouts you post, and are you still active in CrossFit?
Yeah, do it every day.
I used to be a coach.
Yeah, I did. I was as well. I coached overseas when I was my last deployment. Yeah, I had a whole level 1 of that shit. And
Yeah, I got really big into CrossFit about
yeah, mine was
seven, 6, 7
2012.
years ago. 6, 7 years
Yeah.
ago. Like I was during the Rich Froning era.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's where I started. Like I did my level 1 at his gym in 2013. Actually,
um,
2014 when I came back from Afghanistan.
and like
My parents still go to Man. They live in Tennessee. They still go there.
man, I just can't do cardio anymore. I hate it. So
No, I hate it too, but that's why I do it. I just love that's what I love about CrossFit is just
I
like
just want to turn
you're
into a
constantly
brick.
on that verge of just like crashing and burning. Like that's what I like being able
Yeah.
to manage that moment of it. Um,
No, I never got over a 225-pound power clean.
See, I'm glad you bring that up because I never got over 240. And we're talking hip explosion, but you just said you could squat 405. So to me, when I listen to that, yours is a form thing. Mine's
Oh
a
yeah,
mine's
no,
physical limitation. Yeah.
I have I have the worst mobility in my joints of
Yeah. Well, that's all hip, dude. Like power cleans are all hips. That's all
I
it is.
mean like my
You're
shoulders.
strong enough. You deadlifted 510. Like you could
Yeah,
power clean more than 225. You could
not
probably muscle clean it.
not yeah, yeah, that's how I ended up getting it. Basically reverse curled the shit.
Yeah, I
But
was
uh
gonna...
like it's like I had always had a hard time. I think my max front squat was like 315.
Yeah, so
But
my max front squat was 260, and I can't do that. Dude, that's a front, like I fuck this. I literally can't touch. This is the mobility. This is the
yeah,
mobility I have in that front.
I had a torn like I had to get it fixed in the army. I had a
Yeah,
I
all my shoulders
apparently
are
I had
fucked.
torn my rotator cuff in high school and never got it fixed.
Yeah,
And
mine's been
then
torn from college on. So
like
yeah.
6, 7 years later in the army, they were finally like, "You want your shoulder fixed?" And I got it fixed, and it never was fucking any better.
Yeah,
So
no, well, that's why I refuse it. I'm not fixing that shit. What for? To be out 9 months and then just come back and not be able to do shit? No,
yeah, it was bad. It was a
no.
stupid decision.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. All right, now let's get into some fun. All right, how you doing on time? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, I know you. I'm just making sure because you're matching wine with my bourbon. I just want to make sure you don't need a break. So I'm a seasoned pro here, bro. All right. We are in wild times, dude. What's your take on this Kamala Harris VP selection with Tim Walz?
My gut reaction, which I could be
Yeah.
wrong, I'm not going to claim that I'm a friggin' political analyst wizard, is that I genuinely feel like the DNC machine, which whoever runs that, whether it's the Obamas, the Clintons, I don't know anymore, whatever. I think they're throwing it away. I think they don't want any 2028 possible candidates, whether that be Shapiro from Pennsylvania, Newsom from California, Pritzker from Illinois, Buttigieg, any of those other fucking Fruit Loops on the left. I don't think they want any of them to get caught in the muck. I don't think they want them to get covered in shit this election running against Trump. So they put out Kamala, which if she wins, they'll be wildly surprised because she's terrible. And this Waltz dude who turns out to be the biggest train wreck in the history of Minnesota. And that's saying something for Minnesota, you know.
Um,
I'm from the Midwest and we don't claim Minnesota. It's Southern Canada, you know.
yeah. I actually agree 100% with what you said. I feel like this is a throwaway because both parties are going to reset in 2028 if Trump wins. Like everyone's gone. We're back to like what you just said. Like, why would you waste the ones who are your stars or your future of your party on something that you don't really
Yeah.
believe in? And why not? I feel like because I've said similar things. It's like yeah, they can sacrifice Kamala because she was already there, and then Waltz is he's clearly not the future of that party.
No.
No,
God.
but then just everything that's come out with him, man. And I said it, and it went in a direction I didn't really think it would. I made it more. It was more of a tongue in cheek thing. Like, look, everyone's going to criticize everyone, but I was like, look, if you ain't part of that GWAT crew, you don't get to talk about the GWAT error. And he fucked himself by claiming a rank that he didn't fully qualify himself at because he didn't do the PME, which is your primary military education. And then he continued to double down by referring to himself as a rank that he didn't have. He said he was deployed when he wasn't. He then said he was in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, which is just a really nice, political loophole for saying you were mobilized, essentially, because everyone mobilizes under major operations like Enduring Freedom, because that's kind of encompassed the entire fucking GWAT. Yeah, what's your take on how does that part of it make you feel about that guy? Like, is it?
I mean, from a military standpoint, he was a careerist opportunist turd that was using National Guard service as a way to pad a resume. He had no intention of ever actually donning a uniform and doing anything at the nation's beckoning. And I shit on National Guard people all the time. I mean, one of my National Guards reservists, it's one of my favorite things to do, to shit on them. It's like, oh yeah, you really think you're a hero? You were scanning groceries at Kmart yesterday, and now you're in fucking Kuwait. Have a great fucking deployment. I don't say that crap to those guys out of hate or anything like that. I love talking shit to people, and I know that there's some National Guard units that did some work. I mean, they did some work in Iraq.
I mean, they got SF groups. You got the 19th.
Yeah. I mean,
hanging out there. Yeah.
Not just them. I mean, there were some just like regular National Guard infantry units and shit.
Yeah.
That they got hammered and they fought through it. They did their job, and I mean, God bless them. So I mean, I talk a lot of shit. It's like I have a friend that from the 100. I wasn't in the 101st, but he's a friend of mine that was in the 101st that ended up with a Silver Star.
Damn.
And
that's pretty fucking crazy.
Uh,
he wasn't a PFC, I bet.
No, he was a Spec 4.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's a Medal of Honor. Just he was an E4, not.
He went around a corner and like grabbed the muzzle of a dude's AK and got shot like 13 times. And took the guy's AK away. Yeah, he took his guy's AK away from him and like beat him to death with it, and went on and fought for like another hour.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, he went Terminator, which is funny because if you met him, you'd be like, this is the dumbest faggot I've ever met in my life. But anyway, anytime I go anywhere, anytime we hang out, I'm like, I can't imagine being so bad at my job that I end up with a Silver Star because I got shot 13 times. I'm just like, you want to know why I'm always like, you want to know why I don't have a Purple Heart? I don't have a Purple Heart because I was really fucking good at my job, and the rest of you are slow. If you're slow, you have a Purple Heart, that means you were slow and you got shot. I didn't get shot because I'm faster than you. I don't say those things because I believe them. I say them because those dudes that are so used to getting their asses kissed from other people about having those awards, they love the idea that, like, I just look at you as another bro, dude. Your awards don't mean anything. You're just another guy in arms, and I love you enough. I love you enough to talk down to you. Yes. Because if I don't like you, I won't talk to you.
Yeah.
If I like you, you are going to hear. If I'm friends with you, you are going to hear the worst shit talking of all time come from me. Just constantly. I will not turn it off. From the moment I see you to the moment you leave, I'm just going to talk shit. Unless it's a serious conversation, but a lighthearted thing, I'm like, I will constantly just demean you in your service, regardless of what you won, because it's fun. And I mean, a lot of people don't understand that, but like,
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
You're also right that people, the average person, especially someone who's never walked in your shoes, they're not going to understand that. They're going to just think,
but it's fun.
Mean spirited, or you're bullying, and it's just like, shut the fuck up. So it's
so much fun. And leading back to Waltz, it's just like, dude. I mean, I wish Vance. No offense, I wish Vance wasn't a pogue, because seeing the idea that an E4 is going to get to talk down to an E9 at a debate.
E8.
Well, he did. I thought he didn't.
No,
He
he
say,
was he made E9, but he left before he completed his at PME. So he was administratively,
oh,
yeah,
that's what.
he was administratively reduced back to an E8. That's on his official record. And that's why there's the big controversy, because he's seen multiple times referring to himself as a command sergeant major, which he is not, and he was never.
Regardless, seeing an E4 getting to
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna get to say
he gets to dress down. I mean, that's a wet dream. Getting to dress down an E8 and above on national television as being a bitch. That's gonna. I mean, that's all I would say. I would just yell "bitch" at the top of my lungs for 5 straight minutes, and during the
What's this award I saw that Vance received? You were a Marine, mass recipient or mast, some meritorious mast or some shit.
mass
Yeah.
or like captain's mass. It's basically like uh meritorious mass. It just means like his command gave him an award.
Okay. All right.
Uh,
I'm just curious. I don't know what the fuck it was, but
there's
someone saw it and was like, "Now I really hate him," but like tongue in cheek, and it's like, I assume that meant he
because
did.
like you have like an AAM, an Army Achievement Medal, and then like
Yeah.
the Marine equivalent is a NAM or a
Achievement
Navy
medal.
Achievement
Yeah.
Medal, and then
Yeah.
like
Okay.
it goes up from there. But yeah, yeah, he's a like somebody posted that he served 24 years and had 3 RCOMs, and I'm like,
No, he
bro,
didn't.
I
He
got
had
4 RCOMs in 1 year. Shut the up.
I mean, everything. Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, everything I've seen is that he had 24 years. He had 2 AAMs and 1 ARCOM.
That's so sad. I
Yeah,
mean,
even in the National Guard, like, dude, you made it to that level, and those are the only like I've got. I think 6 AAMs, 5 or 6, and I've got 4 ARCOMs.
yeah,
I mean, you don't really need to do a lot to get them.
no, no,
Now yours were different. You got the V device. That's different. But
only on one of them, but
yeah,
like
but
I remember, like, because that's one difference between the Army and the Marines, at least when I was in, is the Marine Corps, like, we left I mean, I left Afghanistan with basically no awards besides theater awards, like
yeah, you just were there.
ornament,
You get the NATO
combat
and the
action ribbon,
Afghan. Yeah.
overseas service, Afghanistan service, like all the ribbons everybody got. Nobody got awards because in the Marine Corps, like to get an award, you basically have to do just shy of a Medal of Honor to even get suggested for one. And then I get to the Army, and we're at Fort Irwin, California during fucking they call it
NTC,
PAX, or is that the Marine one?
NTC.
NTC, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I kept my 240 running on blanks, like remedial action after remedial action, because the 240 does not like the BFA and it does not like
Does
blanks.
not like blanks. No.
And
No.
I mean, I kept mine running. I mean, I was a machine gunner in the infantry in the Marines. I've slept with the 240 probably more than I've slept with my wife. And I'm sitting here, I mean, I'm just keeping my 240 going during this exercise. And at the end of the exercise, they're like, "Hey man, you're getting an RCOM." And I'm like, "What's that?" I'd only been in the Army for like 6 months, and they're like, "That's an award. You kept your gun running." And I'm like, "You're giving me an award for a training exercise? What kind of fucking Mickey Mouse organization did I join?"
The one that gives you archives for keeping your gun running, my friend.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'll take it. I guess it's just another ribbon on my rack." But yeah, my mind was blown. My mind was blown my first RCOM because I was just like, I did my job. You guys are giving me an award for doing my job.
Yeah. No, well, you're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong. Like our award system is special, but um, all right. Look, all right. Let me move past the award thing because I could go down a lot of tunnels on the rants of awards, but I've done it before in this path or in this space, and I don't want to do it again because I want to get back to hammering on what's so you're Southern Illinois, or is it Southern Missouri?
Illinois. Yeah, I'm in a blue state.
Yeah, I was gonna say my daughter just left Mantino, Illinois, which is like straight out of like Americana, Illinois. It's crazy, but you're only a blue state because of the city of Chicago.
Yeah, I mean
Because I honestly I think that state's pretty fucking awesome. Like we have driven through it. Like
our,
I
uh, our state population is 12.7 million,
so what 9 is in fucking Chicago?
9.3.
Holy fuck! And they're all telling you how to live out in the rest of the
Oh
state.
yeah, oh
That's
yeah.
fucking nuts, man. That
It's
really
just
is. Because, like I said, it's an hour drive south of Chicago, and I love Chicago. Chicago is my favorite major city in this country, but the politics are weird. But you get out into like Mantino, where like she went to high school. Like, dude, when I went to our graduation in May, like I was just like, man, this is. I would have loved to have gone to a fucking high school like this. Like, this is straight community based. Like cornfields fucking everywhere, soybean fields everywhere. Like it's just straight up farming. A small town. It's America. Everyone had known each other their entire lives. Like that's the idea of America, and that's why like I'm glad she got to have that as her experience for high school. And it's, but yeah, like how do you feel this is how this is gonna end up? Because I like I'll be honest, I thought it's been a weird few couple of weeks, right? A weird month. Like Trump, July 13th, assassination attempt. Everyone loves him. He's got that iconic photo. Both sides are like, holy fuck, Trump. All media effort. A few days later, what happens? Well, Joe's dropping out. Got to take the headlines back somehow. We're going to insert Kamala. And all of a sudden, she becomes like this media darling, which makes no sense to anybody who's paid any attention over the last 3.5 years because she's Florida.
she
She's
never
like,
polled above 3% in the DNC primaries.
she never got an electorate. She never got a vote. She
She
didn't
was
get any delegates.
Yeah, 3% is like
She never got a
very
delegate, bro.
bad. I know, but it's shockingly bad. It's like
Yeah.
she should have dropped out the first electoral vote, and last she was shockingly bad. I mean, and she is shockingly bad at everything. I mean, like I said, I think I don't watch the polls because
Polls don't matter.
it's all bullshit.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
not real.
it's
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 a
it's
fucking
what you
metric. That's all it is. It's a metric to talk about. That's all it
yeah,
is.
and it's like it all determines
It's all about turnout. Either you
if you
show up to
poll
vote or you don't.
if you polled 1,000 dudes like me, say if you polled 1,000 dads where I live in their early 40s, it would be 99.9% for Trump and
Yeah,
0.01% for Kamala.
exactly.
But if you poll 1,000 purple-haired fucking lunatics, then suddenly, oh, it's 49 and 49. Trump's really in trouble. It's like
I'd be impressed if we got 49 lunatics that want to actually vote for Trump.
but I'm like, I think it's going to be a landslide, like as bad as Nixon's last election, where the only state I think he lost was fucking Minnesota. But
Was that Nixon or Reagan?
I don't
I
remember.
think it was Reagan. Reagan was the one that had that massive landslide.
But
Either way, Minnesota, what a
is that
shock.
is that
What a
is that
shock
Reagan?
it's Minnesota.
Yeah,
A state that I honestly don't think is worth saving after I've read up on their abortion policy.
it's not well. And not only that. I mean, no offense to anyone that's Somalian, but Somalians don't have the best track record when it comes to being upstanding citizens of the United States of America. And like we brought all the Black Hawk Down people from
Mogadishu,
yeah, we brought them all to freaking
Minnesota.
Minneapolis, St.
How did
Paul
they end up in Minnesota of all places? That's so random.
because I don't know.
Shitty weather.
These states just open up to
Like Michigan, same with that. There's like this huge population of Iraqis in Michigan. Shitty
I mean,
weather.
I know a guy in Iowa that became a professional goat rancher because the amount of Serbian refugees that moved into his community in Iowa.
And there's a big demand for goats.
They love goats. The Serbians love to eat goats. Don't know why, but he
Goats
found
do taste good.
They aren't bad. They aren't bad. But yeah, I mean, we have ethnic pockets all across this country where our government has hidden refugees from different countries, whether we want them or not.
So you think Trump's going to fucking crush this? Is what you're saying?
If everybody showed, I
Yeah, because
think
again, you're right. It's turnout.
everybody, if everybody, I mean, like, I don't want anybody to get complacent and be like, he's got it
Yeah.
in the bag. I don't need to go vote. I want everybody to go vote with fucking anger and hatred in their heart towards what they're voting against. And I'm not saying Trump's perfect. I don't think he's
No.
perfect.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Uh, I sincerely do not think he's the perfect candidate. I think he made a ton of mistakes in his first administration.
I agree 100%.
But I'll tell you what, it was a lot easier to breathe when he was in office. I mean, I've seen people that are like, I will never forgive him for the bump stock thing, and I'm like, dude, was it a bad move? Yeah, because he tried to give the Democrats an olive branch for the bump stop thing because it was an accessory that 90% of people didn't know. Did it actually? No, it's not actually a machine gun. Yes, he made some stupid statements about it, but in the end, he gave them an olive branch to try to prevent any further Second Amendment worse legislation coming down the ramp. So I'm not a huge fan of compromise, and I think he made a mistake, many
Yeah.
mistakes. But fuck, it was easier to live when he was alive. I mean, when he was not alive, when he was in office,
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
like
Um,
we had more money. It's just like I can ignore a lot of shit as long as I'm not paying $300 a week for groceries.
yeah, I mean, and those are the things that it's hard to quantify unless you're actually experiencing it, right? Someone like yourself, family, 3 kids, like that's three, not just 3 kids, 3 sons. That's expensive, right? They eat a lot.
Yeah, we on average we consume 3 to 3.5 pounds of protein every night for our
I was
meals.
gonna say, I hope you weren't gonna say a week because I was gonna say that's better be a day. Yeah.
No, a night. Three and
Yeah.
a half pounds of protein a night. And
Yeah.
whether that's ground beef, chicken,
Yeah.
pork, steak, whatever. I mean, like I eat about between 7 to 7,500 calories a day.
You
And
how the hell do you get 7,500 calories a day?
rice and beef.
That's a lot, dude. Like I could see maybe 4,000. How do you 7,500 a day?
Yeah, how much
do
I
you
eat
weigh? What do you
my
weigh?
right now 220.
So you're 5'8", 220,
Yeah.
and you are not fat by any means. You are Jesus, that's amazing. That is
I'm not cut, but
no, you don't have to be cut. I mean, you got a lot of like being cut is that's stupid. That's glamorous. But you're a solid dude at 220. Like you and I are.
I'm a Brit. No, I mean, like, yeah,
Jeez, that's a lot of fucking food to eat a day, though, man.
yeah, no, you're talking,
I
uh,
only bring that up because of expense. I don't care that you eat that much. I think that's just expensive for like.
I mean, it's not clean. I wouldn't call that because, like, if you throw cheese into every meal,
Yes, as you should. I think.
so like, I drink about probably milk wise. I mean, I do milk and 4 cups of oatmeal for breakfast with 3 eggs, and then
Damn.
I'll eat like I'll eat a chicken breast and 2 cups of brown rice.
You know
If
what
I'm
it sounds like? It sounds like you're still on like deployment diet, but you're home. Where it
no,
was free when you were deployed, and now you got to pay for
it's
it.
expensive, but like
Yeah.
all I do is make enough leftovers that I can supplement these meals throughout the day.
What
But
is your
yeah, no,
wife? Does your
and
wife
carbs,
just
bro.
like look at you like, what's wrong with my husband? Like, what is she?
It's just well, I don't want to be skinny.
No,
Like,
I get, but no, that is, I mean,
it,
but clearly, and this is another thing I would say, like, look, I know for a fact, I know my body type. I know like, I can't eat 7,500 calories a day, no matter what I do. That's not going to work for me, but that works for you because you have the body type for it, supports it, whatever you do, obviously.
yeah, power dwarfing, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that supports me. But my brother's different. My brother's 5'9". Him and I weigh about the same, but he's fucking shredded. I'm not, and he's stronger than me. Like he's just a different type of human, right? So he's more like my dad than I am. I'm more like the other side of my family. But yeah, like I said, I not in about 3 weeks, maybe I'll try like 7,500 calories for 2 weeks just to see what happens.
Hey, as long as you work out, you'll be like, holy shit, why wasn't I eating like this the whole time?
I do the protein of it. Man, like carbs and me, we
Yeah,
don't get along at all, dude.
to me, it's, I mean, and
I like
like,
getting my carbs from wine.
yeah, no, I mean, I drink 1.5 liters of wine a night.
Yes. Oh, dude, I'm coming to visit. We're gonna just hang. It's gonna be great.
Like, I drink almost 3 gallons of wine a week.
Oh yeah, that dude.
But like,
Oh,
I'll tell you what, like what switched for me, because like back when I was a CrossFit dude, I ate so clean. It was all grilled, this, a shit ton of vegetables. And then I got addicted to watching strongman videos.
yeah. Well, those
Like Eddie
motherfuckers eat a
Hall,
lot.
Eddie Hall, Brian Shaw, and
Oh
those
yeah,
guys.
Brian Shaw. I remember that. What is it? 14,000 calories a day. That
Yeah,
video.
and I'm just like,
That's a lot of money too,
I'm
man.
sitting here just like, those guys are putting up like those guys are putting up animal numbers as human beings. And I'm like watching their diet, and I'm like, they're not eating clean. That's how you get your calories.
Well, they can't. They do what they. If you eat,
Bro, I mean,
you can't though. Like, and
so
that's
like
the.
for supper, like for me, like for supper, I might make myself a friggin' pound and a half friggin' porterhouse,
Yeah.
and then eat 3 potatoes.
Okay.
Fried
Well, I mean,
potatoes.
how else are you gonna make? I mean,
But like,
I have a crazy baked potato recipe with
if
fucking.
you if you throw if you start throwing pastas, and pastas right, if you consume a heavy carb like a rice, pasta, or a potato every meal, you can get your calories up. Like it's not even, you don't even have to try at it.
Yeah, but my thing is, I just know how I am. Like from a like just if I go high, if I get a ton of carbs, it's gonna reflect.
Well, you got to
Like
take pre-workout so you don't get a carb
my
crash.
pre-workout is coffee. That's always been my
My pre-workout equals to about 750 milligrams of caffeine.
yeah, coffee. That's what I that's what I do. I do.
I do 3 scoops of Mr. Hyde.
Oh my God. um yeah, where I was at my leanest was Afghanistan. I was 2013, 2014. I got down to like 184. And I was doing twice a day, right? In the morning, my buddy, he was a big boy. He was your height, but he was like 240 and shredded. Like he was an old school bodybuilder. So I would go do bodybuilding shit with him at like 5 a.m. We'd go to breakfast, eat like a plate of bacon, 4 eggs, four
Nice.
fried eggs, four hard boiled, like 8 total eggs, right? A bunch of fruit, and then in the afternoon I would go do CrossFit. And then in the evening with him, again, we do like whatever we didn't do, lifting, bodybuilding wise, we do it again. And so I was like 185 and just solid, shredded, like,
Yeah.
but it was hard to eat that much, man. And then when I came back, like you don't have the luxury of being able to work out like that, right? Because
No.
in Afghanistan, I had 14-hour days. I could kind of like, okay, let me get up at 5, go do my shit till 6, get to work at 7, you know, midday, go do CrossFit, get off at like 1800, go back to the gym, and then just go to sleep. Like you're not doing anything else. So it was easy. You can't do that in the real world.
Like the heaviest I got in the service was 205, and that was my last tour in Iraq when I got fucking stupid huge.
See,
My
I don't get
walking
huge. I just get cut.
my walking around weight before that on average, like my if you put my weight average through my entire service, 175.
Yeah. That makes more sense.
5'9", 5'8", 175.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
It well, and here's I'm gonna let everybody in. I'm gonna let everybody in on the secret of being just fucking gorilla strong. testosterone. I
All
mean,
right.
I'm on I do TRT treatments.
But
It's
how
I
did you did you qualify for that, or is that just something you just went
no,
and
I have a clinic in my town that if you're willing to pay, they'll give you test. I walk around about 1600
six?
my test levels.
I love it. And
Yeah,
that's why you're so damn lean still, right there.
and people are like, "Oh, that's cheating," and I'm like, "You're
No,
fucking
it's
right.
not.
It is. I'm
No,
cheating
nothing's
naturally."
cheating. You know what? There's no such thing as cheating. I'm
Like,
so
bro,
tired of that fucking corny argument. There's no
I'm
such
over
thing.
35. If you're over 35 and not trying to find a way to get tests in your system, you're failing yourself. I mean, being natural is just being a, I mean,
Say it. Say
just
it.
being a pussy. Fuck,
Yeah, there you go. Right there.
quit being a
My brother
pussy.
got on that. I think my brother got on the TRT last year. I'm
It's
ready. I want to do it.
magic.
I just got to find the I just got to pay for it and just get it over with.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
I
ready.
get I get pellets. So I get the pellets injected into my skin. They do one treatment every 5 months where I get these pellets injected, and those pellets dissolve over a period of 5 months. And I maintain 16 to 1200 test levels with about a free test level, my free test of about 33 to 40. And I'll tell you where the advantages on test is appetite. You will friggin' eat like you've never eaten before. It just makes you hungry. Two, it's energy and recovery.
Yeah, recovery thing.
I do not care how much you thrash yourself. Like if if you're leaving the gym and every muscle in your body is cramping, you will wake up the next day feeling fresh as a daisy. And that's the biggest difference. Is like
Yeah, I
there's
think that's what
there's
it
no
is. I
going to
think
the
that's it's
gym the
all
next day.
recovery.
You go to the gym the next day and you're like, I'm here to kill myself again because I don't give a shit. I'm not even sore.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I love it. God, everybody should be on test. I mean,
And yeah, have you had any side effects from that?
none.
Zero.
None. I mean, you could say I get a little ragey, probably,
Well, that's
maybe.
because you're a dude. I think all dudes get ragey.
I've had no acne, none of the other stuff, but I'm also utilizing it. And I think that's part of the difference. I think if people take
That's
tests and
fair.
they don't
That's a good
they
point.
don't they don't work hard enough to make their body need it,
Yeah, no,
then
that's a
it
good
becomes
point.
then it becomes a problem. But like, I'll go to the gym and it's not even part of my program, but it's like, say I'm doing a 5-5-5 on chest day,
Yeah.
and I'll hit, because bench is my favorite thing of all time. I'll hit like my last set of bench, I'll hit, 5 sets of 5 at 345, rack it, and then I'll scream at my kids, pull the plates off, go down to 225. And immediately after hitting my last set of five on 345, I'll do a burnout set at 225. Rack it, pull a plate off, and then I'll hit a burnout set at 135. And it's just like I will do those extra things to where it's just like I'm making my body. I punish my body for being there. It's just like you're gonna learn. You will learn to be strong, or you will fail, like horribly.
You sound like my dad. And when we're finally done and I upload this, I'm like, hey, Dad, go to this mark and just listen from this point because this is who you are. Uh, I think that's actually a good point because I think a lot of people they seek out TRT or any type of replacement therapy, but they don't understand that what you said, the utilization of it, right?
Yeah, you
Because
got to
it's
use
for a
it, or
reason. Yeah.
if you don't use it, it's gonna be detrimental. You're gonna get
Yeah.
tits, you're gonna get acne, you're gonna get fucking your hair's gonna fall out because your body doesn't know where to do with these hormones.
Yeah. No, I think that's a
Otherwise,
great point.
it's like, I mean, my wife hates that I'm on test because I'm a walking hard on. But other than that, it's just like,
I don't see the problem.
yeah, well, I don't either. But she apparently is like, honey, I'm 40. And I'm like, you're the most beautiful 40-year-old on the face of the earth. Come here.
That's right. Get in the room. Let's go.
Yeah. And so it's like I'm using the test the way testosterone is supposed to be used. I'm becoming stronger. My biggest issue is I can't do, I mean, here's a horrible confession. I can't do cardio anymore.
You did say that. Yeah. Do you think that's correlated?
My knees.
Your knees.
Like I was trying to cut weight about 6 months ago. I'm tired. I'm tired. My love handles were getting out of control because I don't get a fat belly. I just get wide at the waist. So my love
Yeah,
handles
I'm the
get
same way
wide.
as you. Yeah, I'm the same as you.
I do not get wide front to
Same.
back, just sideways.
Yep.
So I was like, I got to do some running. I got to cut some body fat. So I started running a mile, just a mile. And I got down to a 10-minute mile at 220 pounds. I had to take a week off because of my knees. My
Well,
knees
that's
swelled
weight.
up and it's body weight.
Why don't you just, dude? Why don't you just fucking row?
You know, you're probably right.
No, I am right. I mean, like, I'm
I
serious.
hadn't thought
Like,
about it.
rowing is literally the most non-impactful, strenuous cardiovascular thing you can do. That's going to be a total bodily thing. Like, otherwise, like, what are the other erg options? Skiing sucks, and it's mostly lat dominant. You don't want to do that. And then there's the bike erg, which is clearly
Battle bikes.
dominant, right? So no, rowing is the perfect erg. It's the perfect cardio. Like, and you can literally decide how hard you want to punish yourself every single day. Even if you don't, just dude, row a fucking 1,000 meters every day. You'll make incremental increases and you'll systematically go harder without even knowing it. And then you can up that to 1,500. And then the next thing you know, you're doing 2Ks every other day because you don't have to do a 2K every day. But if you're going to, so here's what I always said, right? And this is how I got really into the science of the stupid programming and shit. But like your 1 mile run should be closer or just about or faster than your all out max effort 2K row. Right. So my best ever 2K row, 7:03. My greatest mile ever of all time, which was years before I discovered CrossFit, was a 6:15. Right. Now now I probably run about a 6:50. So we're there, right? We're at that balancing point where, like, if I'm running a 6:51 or 1 mile and I can row a 7:03 2K, which I can't right now. I mean, that was my PR. I probably row a 7:20, but I'm in that range, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what it should be. Those are your correlations. Don't run, bro. If your fucking knees hurt, it's weight correlated, and you don't want to lose weight, obviously. And you really don't need to run. Like, you should run incrementally. You shouldn't go out and run distance. I only do it because I have to. You don't have to. Row. Get a fucking rower. Punish yourself on the rower, man. It's not going to hurt. It's just going to hurt your lungs. It's not going to hurt your joints. That's it.
Yeah, because I mean, well, I can dumbbell row a fucking house. So
Exactly. I mean, that's what you got. And you got that testosterone in you, bro, dude. I mean, we're gonna have to talk offline. I'm gonna have to get with you because I need to figure that out. I kind of like it. I kind of like
like my test cycle is once every 5 months. I get my pellets in, and I'm on my going into my third year of pellets. I think my first pellet cycle was like $1,200.
Mhm.
And then it's every pellet after that is like 780 or 750, 750. So it halves after my first dosage. And like and like they do constant blood monitoring. They're like, we want to keep your levels here and here. And they're like, what's made my doctor mad was my test levels have always been super high even after pelleting, and she's like, I want to decrease them. And the one time she decreased them, I had bad reactions after being on high test, and she was like, yeah, we don't want the bad reactions, so we'll go ahead and get you back up. But like, she monitors my heart, my blood levels, and like I'm fucking fine. Like, I mean, like she's always like, your body, you were just meant to handle it. She's like, your body handles test
Yeah.
better than like anybody I've ever seen. And you're happier and like more energy and like less depression. It's test is freaking magic fuel, bro. Like people that
I like it. That's awesome.
People that look at it like it's some sort of like, oh, you're cheating. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. I'm cheating father time. I'm 41 years old.
Dude, like I haven't paid attention to those people since I was in fucking high school. Anyone who says anything about like, oh, this is cheating, like,
I'm like,
dude,
dude,
you're people who had no ability to do anything anyway, and you're just trying to make yourself feel
yeah,
good.
I'm like, I'm 41 years old, dude. Yeah, I'm cheating. I cannot do the same shit I did when I was 22.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
you know
every
what?
weekend I go play baseball, and
I
I
am
know.
significantly stronger than I was at 22.
That's also true though. That is fair. I am stronger, just not faster. All right, let's wrap it up with this. All right, we talked to Tim Watts thing. We've seen where we're at. We get it. We got two options. Whether we like both of them or not, or like any of them or not, somebody's winning. Who do you think wins?
If I go with my heart, if I go with my heart, I think Trump wins in a landslide.
All right, so go without your heart.
Uh, if I go without my heart, I don't know if anything can beat the DNC machine because I mean, and people can call me a conspiracy theorist or a lunatic. There is 0% chance that Joe Biden won 81 million votes. There is a 0% chance. I mean, that's talking. You're saying that Joe Biden was a more popular presidential
And
candidate
Obama.
than the Messiah,
Yeah, but Obama. Yeah, that
Obama.
didn't
And
happen.
you know how many people I know voted for Obama just to prove they weren't racist?
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't believe in any of his policies. But yeah, no, I'm not racist, bro. I voted for the black guy. But anyway, yeah, I'll never in my wildest dreams believe that Biden won 81 million votes.
No.
So, I mean, whatever that means. But this year, you're not gonna have the same amount of mail-in voting because there's no pandemic. So mail-in voting is gonna be way down. That and I think they shot too big of a shot with that 2020 election, and more people are going to be watching ballot counting. So I sincerely think that I don't see any way that Kamala wins. I really don't. I just don't see how it could happen. If it happens, then I'm retarded. But whatever, won't be the first time.
I at this moment I tend to agree. A year ago, obviously things were very different a year ago. A year ago, I would have said I don't think there's any way they'd let President Trump back in. And I think now we've gotten to the point where I don't think there's a way they keep him out without, you know, unfortunate consequences on all sides because they just think, and then it goes all the way back to what you said earlier, right? Like the DNC is they've kept their best and their brightest for those terms, right? Out of this election because they're holding them to 2020. And I've also said this previously, like the best thing that would have happened for this country would have been like if Trump actually won in 2020, we wouldn't even be having these conversations right now. We'd have reset. Both parties would have reset.
Yeah.
2024 would have been because Pence wouldn't have been running, and if he was, he's unelectable. And then and 2024 for this year of all the Democrats, it would have been a totally different cast of characters, and it would have been everybody you said, like the Governor Newsoms, the Wes Moores, the Shapiro, all those people who are on the future or the bench of the DNC that was kept out of this election cycle would have been running.
And I've seen a lot of people that are like, "Oh man, I just wish it would have been DeSantis." And I'm like,
2020.
I think DeSantis has done some incredible things in Florida.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
he
he's
really
always been
has.
2028. His dumbest thing he ever did was try to
Guess
run for
what? It's
president
like,
this year.
yeah, he's freaking terrible at public speaking.
Yeah, he's not a good
Like
speaker.
his policies are great, but fuck, he's bad at giving speeches.
Yeah. Oh, and guess who's worse? Who's Trump running against? Like, it's the same fucking person, man. Like, and that's what I'm glad you brought that up though, because they're both the same. Like, they're both lawyers. Like, they're both trial lawyers. They're both you know, one's got prosecutor experience. I don't know what DeSantis thing is, but it's just like, that's been my biggest thing is like, how are you a fucking attorney? Like you're a prosecutor. How are you this bad at public speaking when that's like literally your job in court?
Dude, at the RNC, I was like, I watched the entire week of the RNC, and I was like, that last day, I was like, did any of these politicians listen to fucking Hulk Hogan, Kid Rock, and Dana White? Those dudes blew the roof off of the place.
Charisma. They don't have
They
it.
and
It's politics,
they knew,
man.
they
These
knew
are
how
dorks.
they knew how to work a crowd.
It's
And everyone
charisma.
else is
Like
like,
they're not
we're
politicians.
gonna we're gonna fight. Yay! And it's like, no, great, we're gonna fight. But you know, Hulk Hogan goes up there and rips his shirt off and starts screaming, brother. And
Brother.
I'm sitting there ripping my shirt with him,
Yeah.
screaming.
Do it
Like
right. Ugh.
I'm now a Trumpomaniac. I'm like, I'm like, you guys need to take like notes, like, oh shit, I was terrible at public speaking, and these guys killed it, and they're not even running for office.
No,
Like,
they're all it's all charisma. And that like I mean that is the struggle of our times, right? Like politics is nothing but, you know, what they call Hollywood for ugly people.
yeah,
People in Hollywood know how to talk and they look good.
I wish the energy of the I wish the energy of the last day of the RNC had never died, because man, that was awesome. That was so awesome.
It was.
Like,
It was wild. Like the last day was great.
for
But
guys
then
our
like
age, seeing the Hulkster come out and do that, I was just like, I
yeah, it
I
was
like stood up, flipped over the couch, like started like kicking things, furniture. Like it was amazing. Man, that was awesome.
It
But
was. That was great. And then when he, like you said, when he ripped the shirt, like that was good. I thought it was great, and I'm actually looking forward to. I just really want to see what the fucking DNC brings out because all they're
oh
going to bring
god.
out is just like in my opinion, they're going to bring out really like
Oh,
low
it's
IQ
just gonna
trash.
be it's gonna be the, you know, instead of like Rage Against the
Americana.
Machine, Bulls on Parade, it's gonna be Freaks on Parade. It's gonna be a freak
Yeah. I mean,
parade.
they could bring out Rage Against the Machine because they're all on board on that shit now.
Yeah, but it's just gonna be like, I don't know. Like, what do you bring out? You bring out like Matt Damon? Like, people are gonna get fucking stoked about Matt Damon and Robert De Niro. It's like, ah, God, I don't know. It's like, what are you gonna bring out? Like a bunch of trans people and talk about how they got their cocks chopped off? I mean, like, congratulations, bro.
I mean, that is, I mean, you bring up a good point because I mean, at some point you're really pitting two completely different visions and outlooks of the country.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I
look,
mean, like,
I am, I'm not dumb enough to or to neglect the fact that that exists, but I'm still hopeful to the fact that there's enough people in this country who reject that.
like my dad, which he's a boomer, you know, God rest his soul, he's still alive, but he's a boomer. And he said he was like, I don't understand what happened. He's like, I can remember the Democrat Party of the Kennedys,
Yep.
of JFK
Yeah, that's the
versus
Republican Party today.
the JFK versus yeah, the JFK versus Nixon. And it was like the only disagreement the parties had at max was tax percentages.
Yeah.
All they would argue is tax percentages. Other than that, they were virtually identical.
Yeah. No,
It's like,
I like to joke. Like I literally joke about this with people all the time. Is like I'm a JFK Republican. Yeah, I mean, like
no,
that's
well, no, JFK would be an extreme right wing
yeah, he'd
today.
be a fucking extreme. And you know what else? He actually served like in
Yeah,
real wartime. Like that's the other thing we've gotten.
story.
Like we don't have those people in this country anymore who are actually beholden to their policies. It's just a bunch of unelected bureaucrats who don't have any skin in the game and they don't have any actual you know, adherence to the policies they commit people to. So that's why I have a real issue with the whole fucking Ukraine thing. It's like we're dancing around this war with Russia, and the people who are playing those games aren't going to have any skin in it.
And dude, I have a guy, he's one of my best friends. He's our age. Uh, 3 Army deployments under his belt, honorably discharged, all that shit. And he's over there right now.
Ukraine?
He's a single guy, no family, nothing.
Oh, shit.
And he's one of my closest friends, and he volunteered. He's in Ukraine fighting Russia on behalf. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, I'm like, what are you doing?
What did they make him? What did they put him as?
He's just provisional infantry. I mean, he's in the infantry.
So they didn't even take it into consideration, whatever the fuck. That's fucking.
No, like, and I was like, what's going on over there, man? And because he just got hurt. Like, he even sent me, like, he found the video of him getting a drone grenade dropped on him, and it went. He spent 6 weeks in the hospital.
What?
This is a guy that walked through Afghanistan, 2 tours in Iraq without a scratch, and he got a fucking drone grenade dropped on him. And I'm like, you're coming home, right? And he's like, I got to finish 6 months. And I'm like, is it worth it? He's like, he tells me, he said, it's not worth it because where they were sending the foreign volunteers were places they were guaranteed to die. So they were sending the foreign volunteers, the Americans, the Brits, the Germans, the Polish, the people that are joining the Ukraine Legion, I think they call it. They were sending them to guaranteed places. He said we got sent to places where it was like you walked in and you're just like, oh shit, we're not supposed to walk out of this. They were just feeding bodies to the grinder. And that's all this is. That's all that Ukraine is they're trying to stuff enough bodies into the Russian machine to slow it down until somebody gives up.
Man, we should have talked about this sooner, but like, yeah, you can't. Like, there's not enough to slow down when Russia decides to actually win.
No. And that's what, like, people are like, oh, Russia, like
they're preserving resources. That's it. They don't want to destroy what they want back.
Stupid faggots like Kinzinger, that dumbass politician guy's like, oh, Ukraine's on a big push, and it's like, until Russian tanks, if you're destroying T-55s and T-80s, you're not fighting the Russian army yet. You're not fighting the real Russian army. You're fighting conscripts. You're fighting mercenaries. You're fighting guys that got let out of prison. All you're doing is feeding the Slav 5000 fucking meat grinder. And that's what the Ukrainians are doing. They're sending the foreign volunteers into the worst parts of it because they consider them expendable. And like my buddy's like, I'm done after this. He goes, I thought it would. He's not a rocket scientist.
What's he getting paid?
I never asked that. I've never asked him that. I don't know what he's getting paid, but he'd lost that. He was one of those guys that had lost purpose. He's single, no kids.
No, I mean, I get it. I just think answering this call is pretty fucking stupid.
But like he bought the media hype that the victory in Ukraine was a victory for the whole Western world against
such fucking bullshit.
Whatever. It's fucking terrible, and I've messaged him and told him to come home. I'm just like, just come home, dude. Yeah. And he's like, I can't just yet. But after he got wounded this last time, he told me they lost. He's like, we lost so many dudes this last turn that he goes, I'm not fighting for anything. I'm coming home. So I think he's going to finish. I hope he lives through it, finishes his contract and comes home. But like, I mean, the Ukraine thing is so fucking stupid. We had no right to be involved in any of it because it's Ukraine. It was literally like one of the worst places on planet Earth. And I'm not trying to say that to defend Putin because Russia is also a horrible shithole. But we lose nothing by we win nothing by either country winning, and we lose nothing by either country winning. I mean, it's we gain or lose nothing.
Yeah.
As the United States of America. Stop getting fucked. Stop Stop sending $100 trillion to a foreign war, please. I can't afford it anymore.
Well, and you know what? It would be one thing to do it, but it'd be another thing to actually seek the approval of the American people, which they never did. Like that's the wild part about it, right? Like, hey, we can't always agree on what the hell our government's gonna use our money for, but I mean, at least give us the fucking credit by making
Yeah,
the case to us, right? And like,
and I
at
mean,
least make us feel like we had a decision in the matter.
at this point, the Ukraine-Russia war has like what, like it's like a 70% across the board disapproval rating. Like
It's not popular by any means, but for
people are
whatever
tired
reason,
of it. Just fucking let it go.
no.
It's stupid.
Well, I mean, if they let Trump win, things are gonna get different. If they don't, more of the same, man. More of the same.
No, you know what? I agree with the bastard because if you look at his track record for 4 years,
Yeah, we were
if
at peace.
if Trump would have won in 2020, I'm about guarantee you this war never would have happened.
No, I don't think it either. But you know, like I said, he'd be leaving. Both parties be resetting. We'd be starting off from anew. Like we're not there.
Yeah. No, yeah, no. 2024 would be the scary part, right? But fuck, I mean,
Uh, yeah.
I had somebody talking to me today at work, and they were just terrified of the Iran Israel thing. This guy just looked at me. He goes, he said, yeah, this guy was probably 46, 45, 46. Never been a vet, nothing like that. But he just looked at me. He goes, he's like, the American people can't stomach another war. And I'm just like,
We've never stomached one to begin with.
you're fucking right. We can't, dude. I mean, we just walked through 20 years of GWAT, A plus Syria, B plus fucking whatever else.
Well, I mean, I push back on that though. I don't think the American people stomached any of that because it
Well,
wasn't
I
really
mean,
required of most of the Americans. Yeah, you
but
say 20 years of the GWAT, but like the only ones really stomaching that are people who actually were involved in it. Most of them didn't. Most of them
I
went
mean,
about
like,
their lives and never gave a second thought.
I guess what I mean that, like, if you look at it from a civilian perspective, do you remember that fucking energy post 9/11?
Yes, that's why I joined.
Do you remember that energy when we fucking killed Saddam?
Yeah,
Like,
I was there. Like,
people watched, I know, but I mean, people watched the news and they were like, people watched the news and they just absorbed that early GWAT war and they were like, fuck yeah, we can't be beat. Fuck yeah, we are badasses. Fuck yeah, the United States is just stomping everybody's dick in. And then those people sat and watched for 20 more years. And they're like, why are we still there? What are we still doing? None of this makes sense. Why are kids still dying? And by the time we pulled out of everything, the American people were like, I'm glad we're leaving. Man, that sucks. People died when we were leaving. I mean, they fucking gave up. People were burned out on war. People had burned the GWAT.
well,
They burned
I
them out.
mean, I agree 100% with that premise, but I would take it to a different level and say that this next generation, they don't have the they don't have the loyalty, they don't have the adherence to this country that we did. They don't. They
Right.
and that's why we have such a recruiting shortfall. Like that would be my biggest identification of the issue is that
Yeah.
this current generation, whatever you want to call them or label them, you know, we're raising people in a globalist mindset. Like everyone's connected through social media, everyone's connected through the internet. There's a very different, at least in the West, I would say specifically, the West does not have a national identity. Therefore, they don't have an allegiance to the United States of America. And further, therefore, they don't have a calling to defend it. They think everyone's entitled to it.
That is a
So
very
that's
profound statement.
yeah.
I never
Well,
thought of it.
and that's why I say you have such a recruiting issue is and I go back to this. How are you going to get the next generation of people to enact your policy goals?
Yeah, but I mean, the military's full of dumbasses because I mean, like if you look back, I mean, and this is a metric that cannot be even close to debated. If you look back throughout the entirety of this United States history about the people that volunteer and shoulder the burden of conflict more than anyone else, it is men from middle class families and with a we're I mean,
No,
but
just say it. Just
with a
say it.
sense with a sense of fucking with a sense of patriotism, with a sense of duty.
And they're
So it's
also
like
from where? Where are they also from?
a majority of the time, usually from the fucking small town Midwest, small
And the
town
South. Yeah, exactly. No, you're
South.
right. That's
I
where
mean,
they're from. And
I
guess who's
know,
not
I know,
guess who's not joining?
I know. You get a fuck ton of dudes. You always get a fuck ton of dudes from big cities, New York, whatever. I'm
Yeah, but
not
that's
just
who's not. Well, go back to your original point. That's who's not
my
joining.
my point is those guys throughout the history of the United States, fucking French Revolution or French Indian War, American Revolution, Civil War, uh, all the banana wars and shit leading up to World War One, War Two, Vietnam or Korea, Vietnam, all that. It is all idealistic young men from small towns, middle class families. Yeah, the big fucking lie that we all got sold, and you can pull up the metrics on this. You can find them. The big lie we got sold is in Vietnam. They drafted poor kids, and they drafted poor kids from the cities. It's something like only like a quarter of the people that served in Vietnam were even drafted. The vast majority of the people that served in Vietnam volunteered, and they volunteered from these small ass southern Midwest
Yep.
prairie west towns, and that's been your backbone.
Yeah. Well, those
Small
are the ones
town
that aren't joining.
idealistic retards like me, idealistic retard as a small town kid that had this idea of what service to the United States was. But the luxury all those other wars had was they were reported either A, via the news media, or B, via somebody doing the history years after and glorifying it and romancing it. Kids now, they can pull up fucking YouTube and watch 755 hours of helmet cam footage with zero filter, and suddenly it's not so romantic. Suddenly it sucks. Suddenly it's scary. Suddenly it's a zero sum game of you may get hit, you may not get hit. There's zero, regardless of how good you are at your job, you may catch a fucking RPG in the thigh. It doesn't matter who you are when you get in the meat grinder. And these kids are going, I don't even like the government that much. And
Yeah. Yeah. You're
mom
right.
and dad
Yeah.
sure have never told me how great everything is, that it's worth defending. So
Yep.
I guess I'm not going.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, there's not enough trans pukes and fucking left wing weirdos to fucking fill the ranks.
There's definitely not of that, and they're all disqualified anyway. So
Yeah, it's insanity. It's insanity that we have on one side the access to information has made the core base of the United States military volunteer system. The access to information has completely segregated that group. And on the other hand, the acceptance of policies that are so contrary to the core beliefs of the base of the United States military volunteer system that you want to know why you have a fucking enlistment crisis. Look at those two things. You have an enlistment crisis because of you've segregated the base beliefs of the vast majority of the people willing to die for this stupid fucking place, and two, social media and the access to information.
yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I think that's 100% right. And I think it's not going to rectify itself because we are in a place where we're not experiencing an extended period of peace.
No.
We're being forced to believe into something like you just described with Ukraine and Russia. We're being forced to believe in, whatever's coming down the pipe with Iran, who's going to attack any afternoon now. Just
Anytime.
anytime now. Okay,
Maybe this Wednesday, maybe
yeah,
next
maybe that's
Wednesday.
what I do.
Maybe 3 Wednesdays from now.
Yeah.
Unless the deal gets signed.
But I see that as I see it as a legit thing. As long as there is an all volunteer force, we are going to eventually run into a shortage of those willing to enact and enforce the policies of those who don't have that burden of carrying them out.
Yeah.
I think that's inevitable. I really do. And I think I saw a recent story, like, as the army rebounds and begins to achieve its goals. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you can achieve any goal as long as you lower it enough. Like, none
Yeah.
of that's fooling me, I mean, that's what cracks me up about the whole thing is, like, we go back to the Obama era. I think for the Army, I think the last year that Obama was on the hook for a number he had set before Congress was like 34,900, which is nothing for the Army in a year. And then Trump came in wanting to grow the Army. And you know how the media works. Like, the media doesn't want to put positive stories out. So I think Trump's first year, his goal for recruiting that was passed, I think, was just beyond 80,000. I think it was like 84. And I think the Army hit 79.5. Now, they doubled what was in the previous administration.
Yeah.
What was reported? What do you think was reported?
I don't know. Cause like
Failure, bro. Failure. Trump fails to meet recruiting goal because he had
like, do you remember?
84,000. He only got 79.5 under him. He doubled what was under the previous administration. But you know what? He failed because he was Trump and he was a Republican, and Republicans fail.
But
We have to
nobody
say he
talks about the
failed.
number of people that got released. Like that, like I served both terms under Bush and 2 years under Obama. And the number of guys with combat experience that got separated
Yeah.
in 2010. And I'm not just saying guys like me that fucked up, but guys that it was like, oh, you have back issues, you're gone. You how many tours have you been on? You've been on 3 tours right now, gone. They were kicking people out left and right. I mean, I'm not like saying like they were administratively separating, they were medically releasing all this shit. They were just letting dudes go left and right if they had more than one combat tour because they knew that we were going to transition to a fucking garrison military.
Well, that was 2010. How long did it go on?
Years. Yeah.
Another decade, bro.
I am getting ready to piss my pants.
Yeah, no, that's good, and that's why we're gonna end it. But I am, but no, I appreciate you bringing up and offering your perspective on a lot of things, and I wanted to end it on that take. I just want to make sure that we are clear that you think in 2024, this year, when the election in November comes, that former President Trump wins.
I don't see how it doesn't happen, but I've been wrong before.
Yeah, so have I. Specifically 2020. So we'll see.
Yeah. Don't bring
I went to bed. I knew I was pretty comfortable, and then I woke up. So
yeah, right.
all right, that is Travis. You can find him on X, Twitter, whatever you call it still, at _Trav_A. Great dude. Follow him. He's a barrel of laughs. I appreciate you.
It was great talking to you, Eric. I really appreciate you having me. Honestly, it was a great time, dude.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll do it again because there's plenty more we can get to in the next time. But that is him. Follow him, and you can follow me. I don't even know what my account is at this point. I think it's at their WB Bourbon. So there you go. All right, there will be bourbon, and we are done.